Chapter 2003. The Starlight Race? Why are they out of the mystic zones? Xiaoping touched his chin. Thanks to the intelligence system of the Holy Land of Taichu, I found a lot of information about the central universe. Corinne said, although the Starlight Race is from the mystic zones, it doesn't mean they don't want to gain benefits in the ordinary zones. If they can occupy a world, they can also gain great benefits. After all, the competition in the mystic zones is too fierce and cruel. The Starlight Race is a powerful race, but they can't gain the upper hand in the mystic zones, so they like to go to the ordinary zones to gain benefits. They look the same as humans on the outside. Xiaoping observed the Starlight Race. They do look the same, but their internal structure is completely different. They don't need to eat ordinary food. They can sustain their daily needs just by devouring the energy of the stars. Their lifespan is 10 times longer than ordinary humans. Corinne told him what he knew. But it seems that the Starlight Race has discovered this world. Reinforcements will arrive soon. This is a big problem. Of course, the biggest problem is that we don't know how many enemies there are, how many reinforcements the Starlight Race will send, or whether other races have appeared in this place. A worried look appeared on its face. That's easy. I just need to sneak into the Starlight Race and gather some information. Xiaoping took out the compliance mask. In an instant, he changed into the appearance of a Starlight Race member. His body emitted intense energy of the stars. He was surrounded by starlight like a child of the stars. Whoosh! As soon as he said that, he appeared in front of the Starlight Race without hesitation. Who's there? All of a sudden, a dozen members of the Starlight Race who were chatting in the valley sensed an unfamiliar aura. Their hair stood on end, and they were startled. They were on full alert. After all, dangers lurked everywhere in this strange world. Anything could happen. Brothers, don't worry. We're on the same side. Xiaoping appeared in front of everyone and revealed his aura as a member of the Starlight Race. A star symbol appeared on his forehead. With the help of the compliance mask, he could pass off as the real one. The members of the Starlight Race relaxed a lot when they sensed Xiaoping's aura. However, they were still very vigilant. After all, even humans would be very vigilant when they saw strangers. They would not easily approach them, fearing that the other party would kill them and rob them. Sometimes, members of the same race might not be on the same side. It was the same for the Starlight Race. Who are you? What's your name? What do you want to do here? A member of the Starlight Race shouted and immediately questioned. I'm Xingwu Di, a universe adventurer. Xiaoping clasped his hands behind his back and confidently said, originally, I was traveling around the normal area, searching for worlds, but I didn't expect to come across a newly born large world here. I was overjoyed, thinking that I'd made a fortune. However, I bumped into a dozen or so brothers of the same clan in this place, so I wanted to go up and greet them. After all, I've been away from home for a long time, and it's very rare to meet people of the same clan. Universe adventurer. Upon hearing this, the people of the Starlight Race were filled with deep veneration. Adventurers who had the ability to travel around the universe were all extremely powerful experts. After all, without strength, how would they dare to travel around? He was afraid that he would not be able to go out for long before he was killed by the enemy. Sometimes being an adventurer was synonymous with strength. So you have a Saint-grade spaceship with you that can travel through the universe at any time? Someone from the Starlight Race immediately thought of this. That's right. Xiaoping nodded and admitted. The expressions of the people from the Starlight Race became even weirder, and they seemed to be a little respectful. Are you an aristocrat? Xiaoping knew that among the Starlight Race, there was a huge difference in social class. It was divided into aristocrats and commoners, and the middle was almost insurmountable. Commoners would have to bow and maintain respect when meeting aristocrats. Moreover, aristocrats were rich in resources, and their talents were more than 10 times stronger than commoners. This was a huge gap that commoners could not catch up with. As aristocrats, they also had all kinds of privileges, such as not having to pay taxes and so on. It was understandable that these people from the Starlight Race thought that Xiaoping was an aristocrat. After all, a Saint-grade spaceship was priceless. Even the great aristocrats of the Starlight race would find it difficult to take out a Saint-grade spaceship. As for commoners, they probably could not even afford a spare part of the spaceship. In fact, powerful existences that could become universe adventurers were basically aristocrats of the Starlight race. No, I'm also a commoner. Xiaoping rolled his eyes and said, "This spaceship is just a trophy I obtained from a powerful ruin by accident when I was traveling. If I relied on my own wealth, I wouldn't be able to afford it at all." "I see. You obtained it during your adventure. You were really lucky. However, to be able to survive after entering a powerful ruin isn't just a matter of luck. It also represents strength. I didn't expect a powerful adventurer to appear among the commoners of the Starlight race. This is great." These people from the Starlight race looked at Xiaoping with admiration, as if they were looking at a hero. They were also commoners of the Starlight race. They had no power or influence, and naturally knew how difficult it was for a commoner to become an adventurer. They had such a dream when they were young, but after they grew up, the dream was gone. Moreover, after they found out that Xiaoping was also a commoner, they instantly became less reserved. After all, they were all people of the same class, so they would not be so restrained. The difference in class was almost insurmountable in the entire Starlight race. "You're too kind," Xiaoping said humbly. He was about to say something when the communicator of one of the people from the Starlight race in front of him seemed to ring. That person said excitedly, "Our reinforcements are coming. They have reached the periphery of this world and are about to enter." "Reinforcements? What reinforcements?" Xiaoping pretended not to know what was going on and asked while knowing the answer. "Brother Invincible," that person said. "After we discovered this world, we immediately notified our companions of the Starlight race in the ordinary area and asked them to send countless experts over to snatch this large world. If this large world is occupied by us, the Starlight race's strength will definitely be greatly enhanced. Those of us who discovered this new world will also receive great credit. We might even be promoted to the nobility level." Many people from the Starlight race were very excited. For them, becoming a nobility of the Starlight race was simply a lifetime glory. They would receive many privileges and become an important member of the Starlight race. "Brother Invincible, since you have also discovered this world, why don't you join us and share the credit? After all, the Starlight race is not the only one who discovered this world. There are other enemies who may need Brother Invincible's help." Chapter 2004. There are other enemies? What do you mean? Xiaoping asked without batting an eyelid. Xing Rongmu gritted his teeth. "Brother Wudi, to tell you the truth, we discovered this world by luck. We had a conflict with the Radiant Moon race and the Glorious Sun race. You know, we don't have a good relationship with these two races. We fought to the death in the Mystic Zone. It was the same even in the Ordinary Zone, fighting as soon as we saw each other. In the end, as we were fighting, we accidentally discovered a large world that had just been born not long ago. We immediately stopped fighting and hurriedly notified our comrades in the clan to come over. After all, this major world is of great importance. If it's discovered by peak races like the demon race or the human race, we won't even get any leftovers. Even so, the Radiant Moon race and the Glorious Sun race are still competing with us for this major world. Their strength is not to be underestimated." He indicated that there were still two major competitors in this world, the Radiant Moon race and the Glorious Sun race. The Radiant Moon race and the Glorious Sun race? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. Information about these two races flowed through his mind. These two races were also born in the Mystic Zone. Together with the Starlight race, they were the three major races of constellation. The Radiant Moon race was a powerful race that grew by devouring moonlight. Their bodies contained the power of extreme cold and extreme heat. They could freeze everything with a single move. The Glorious Sun race was a powerful race that grew by devouring the light of stars. Their bodies contained the essence of the sun. They had a fiery temper and were like fire giants that could burn 1,000 miles at any time. These two races were sworn enemies with the Starlight race. They disliked each other. They both believed that they were the true constellation races. They had always wanted to swallow the other two races and become the true king of the stars. Of course, I'm also a member of the starlight race. It's my duty to strengthen my race. Xia Ping patted his chest and immediately agreed. Hearing this, Xing Rongmu and the others smiled. They looked at Xia Ping as if he was one of their own. His identity as a commoner made them feel even better. Our people are here. Just then, Xing Rongmu and the others seemed to sense something and immediately looked up. Xia Ping also looked up and saw 3 beams of treasure light streaking across the starry sky, illuminating the surroundings. They contain the dazzling power of starlight like a galaxy, vast and majestic. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, 3 rays of treasure light landed in the surroundings of the valley. Suddenly, 3 Saint-class flying ships of the starlight race appeared. They looked like stars on the outside and contained dense astral energy. They were unfathomably deep. With a bang, the doors of the flying shuttles opened as numerous silhouettes appeared. There were at least 1,000 people in each of the shuttles, all of them radiating powerful astral energy. At the very least, they were all at the law phase realm, and a portion of them were at the lightning tribulation realm. They were extremely powerful, and their breaths were fused together. Astral energy permeated the air, and it was as though there were tens of thousands of stars gathered together. Xing Rongmu, we're here. This time, you've discovered a newly born world. That's a huge merit. Once we take over this world, you'll all benefit greatly. Wait, who is this person? Where did he come from? Why did he appear in this place? Why haven't I seen him before? An intense beam of starlight flew out from the flying shuttles, arriving in front of Xing Rongmu and the others in an instant. Instantly, a figure appeared before Xia Ping and the others. It was a young man dressed in azure clothes. This young man's cultivation was extremely high, reaching the peak of the lightning tribulation realm. His body emitted specks of starlight, as though there were countless stars surrounding him. With his body as the core, the starlight lingered continuously, as though his body had turned into a star region. When Xing Rongmu heard this, he immediately went forward and said respectfully, Lord Xing Yongming, this is actually a commoner adventurer of our starlight race who happened to pass by this world. He's very powerful. In order to contend against the radiant moon race and the glorious sun race, we hoped that he could lend us a hand. Hence, we let him stay. He was very respectful to this young man. It wasn't just because the other party was powerful, far surpassing him, but also because the other party was a noble of the starlight race. Moreover, he was a great noble with a distinguished status. Commoner adventurer? What a joke. A trash commoner wants to be a noble adventurer. He's just a parrot. He doesn't know his place. When Xing Yongming heard this, he laughed loudly as though he had heard the funniest joke in the world. In order to fight for this world, we sent 3 Saint-class flying shuttles and 3,000 elites of the starlight race here to ensure that nothing goes wrong. You actually hope that he can lend us a hand? What a joke. We have many experts here. Why would we need the help of a lowly commoner? I think he saw that we're powerful and wants to suck up to us. Do you think I don't know what you commoner adventurers are thinking? What they love the most is to take advantage of us nobles. He looked at Xia Ping with contempt. You can scram now. Next, we're going to sweep the radiant moon race and the glorious sun race. These 2 useless races. Trash shouldn't stay here. You're embarrassing yourself and dragging us down. You, Xing Rongmu, and the others were so angry that their faces turned red. Although Xing Yongming was targeting Xia Ping, they could tell that he was indirectly scolding the locust. His goal was to suppress the commoners. If Xia Ping was a noble of the starlight race, Xing Yongming would probably have a different attitude. However, they didn't dare to provoke him directly. After all, the other party was powerful and had many people. It wasn't good to provoke them. They could only secretly warn Xia Ping through telepathy. Brother Woody, I'm very sorry. This person is a great noble of the starlight race. He's arrogant and has never respected us commoners. He's extremely arrogant. That's right. This guy looks down on us commoners and orders us around like pigs and dogs. However, the force behind him is very powerful and has a good relationship with the royal family. We can't go against him. There was once a commoner who offended him by saying a few words to his face. In the end, he actually killed him. He even killed his entire family of 18. It was extremely cruel. Brother Woody, it's better for you to bear with it. We can't provoke a great noble like him. Otherwise, we'll be in big trouble. There's nothing we can do. Who asked us commoners to be born lowly and powerless? That's right. Bear with it for a while, and take a step back. Bearing with it is the way of survival for commoners like us. Bear with it for a while, and it'll be over. It's just humiliation. It's not like we haven't experienced it before. Bear with it for a while, and you'll get used to it. Xing Rongmu and the others secretly advised him, and communicated with their divine senses. Chapter 2005. Dismember me into pieces? Hearing this, Xiaoping raised his eyebrows and said indifferently, I've been running amok in the universe for so many years. I've seen all kinds of enemies. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me, losing your temper, and putting on airs? Do you know that if you weren't a member of the Starlight race, you would have died today, just because of what you said just now? Even your father wouldn't be able to save you. He knew everything, but he didn't know how to swallow his anger. Hearing this, Xing Rongmu and the others' expressions changed drastically. How could he be kind after saying such words? He was clearly going to fight Xing Yongming to the death. All of them were shocked. As commoners, they had never spoken so loudly to an aristocrat before. They had never dared to go against an aristocrat like this. You're courting death, lowlife. You're courting death. Xing Yongming shouted angrily. His eyes were ferocious and full of killing intent. You're just in the Thunder Retribution realm. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? There are a lot of people like you in the Starlight race. Do you know that? Today, I'll show you the true strength of an aristocrat. A lowlife like you, even if you're lucky enough to have a fortuitous encounter, will never be able to compare to us aristocrats. Boom! As soon as his voice fell, he made a grabbing motion with his hand, and an azure longsword instantly flew out from his body. This longsword was engraved with densely packed star runes, and it contained a dense amount of star energy. Vaguely, there seemed to be a star field within it. Saint Tool. Without a doubt, this was a low-grade Saint Tool. I see. You actually have a low-grade Saint Tool. No wonder you're so arrogant. Xiaoping suddenly realized why Xing Yongming was so confident and arrogant. It turned out that he had a Saint Tool. Even if it was a low-grade Saint Tool, it could increase Xing Yongming's combat power by 10 times, making him invincible in the Thunder Retribution realm. It should be known that in the Eastern Universe, a Saint Tool was enough to suppress the fate of a faction. It had infinite power. If it fell into the hands of a Thunder Retribution realm expert, it would naturally be able to exert infinite power, enough to destroy the world. Lowlife, Xing Yongming revealed an evil grin. I'll teach you a lesson today. I'll let you know the difference between an aristocrat and a commoner. You haven't advanced to the sage realm, but you still dare to act so arrogantly in front of an aristocrat. You're overestimating yourself. When I break all your limbs and cripple all your cultivation, you will understand why nobles are a class that you can never afford to offend. Of course, I won't kill you. Instead, I'll let you live like a dog. I'll kill the chicken to scare the monkey, and make an example out of you. Crash, in the blink of an eye, a vast amount of astral energy gushed forth from Xing Yongming's body. Countless astral lights flickered as a vast amount of energy frenziedly flowed into the longsword. In an instant, the longsword erupted with dazzling starlight and went berserk. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Ray after ray of azure sword chi blasted out, turning into a terrifying sword net that covered over 10,000 kilometers. It blotted out the sky and covered the earth, and there was practically no gap at all. Indistinctly, this sword net contained boundless astral energy. It seemed as if there were stars revolving one after another, fusing together, and forming a single entity that resonated with the stars in the sky. This stellar sword formation seemed to be able to communicate with the power of countless stars in the void. One after another, the power of the stars was infused into the formation, increasing the power of this formation to an extremely terrifying level. It's over. This time Brother Woody is finished. I told him long ago to endure and not be impulsive, but it's too late now. Sigh, why did he have to clash with the aristocrats? They have a huge business, And they even have a saint weapon. How could he beat them? It's a pity that it's hard for us commoners to have an indomitable hero. I didn't expect him to die now. Xing Rongmu and the others all shook their heads and sighed. They could sense how terrifying this low-grade saint weapon was. It condensed into a peerless sword formation, which was enough to tear any top-notch expert into pieces. Xing Yongming, who wielded a low-grade saint weapon, said that he was invincible in the lightning tribulation realm. Not many people would dare to object. They had no chance of defeating Xing Yongming at all. You're so arrogant just because you have a low-grade saint weapon. You have no idea how big the universe is. Let alone a low-grade saint weapon. Even if you had a dozen of them, you wouldn't be a match for me. Xiaoping remained unfazed in the face of the astral sword net. With a thought, a powerful wave of energy rushed out of his body, forming a Dharma idol, the myriad world star diagram. The diagram spanned hundreds of thousands of kilometers, and the entire world dimmed. Over 1 million stars appeared in the depths of the diagram, covering the surroundings densely. The stars gathered together, seeming to form a boundless starry region. Everyone felt a suffocating pressure coming from the depths of the diagram, causing the space to distort. Rumble in that instant. The million stars trembled at the same time, emitting rays of azure light one after another. They gathered together, forming a huge door in an instant. It was a starry door. It seemed to be communicating with the world of stars. Complicated and profound runes appeared on the door frame, seemingly containing the supreme power of stars. One after another, huge stars were engraved on the door. As soon as the door appeared, it instantly suppressed the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Even the radiance of the world was robbed of its color, and all the energy of the world was completely frozen. All the people of the starlight race gasped. They felt their bodies being suppressed by the stars. They could barely move, and they didn't even dare to breathe. They sensed that the door seemed to contain the supreme mysteries of the stars. It was unfathomable and unstoppable. Bang! Bang! With just one strike, the starry sky gate pressed down, shattering all the sword nets. One after another, the sword chi turned into powder. There were sounds of energy explosions everywhere, and the ground was smashed open with shocking craters. Countless deep cracks also appeared on the ground, making cracking sounds like spider webs. That longsword was also crushed in an instant. The tyrannical power of the stars was transmitted to Xing Yongming's body, instantly sending him flying. He couldn't even hold the longsword in his hand. With a clang, the longsword also fell to the ground. After suffering such a serious blow, the longsword's vitality seemed to be damaged, and the light on the blade dimmed a lot. Xing Yongming was seriously injured, and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. He was seriously injured on the spot. Swoosh! Xiaoping grabbed the longsword in his right hand. The void trembled, and he immediately grabbed the longsword in his right hand. Buzz, the longsword seemed to have its own intelligence as it continued to struggle and hum. 2 mysterious and profound characters formed from astral energy floated on the surface of the sword. These 2 characters were none other than Star Destroyer. Star Destroyer was the name of this low-grade sacred artifact. Chapter 2006. You still want to struggle? Just obediently submit. Xiaoping could sense the unwillingness of the sword. It didn't seem to want to surrender. This was to be expected. Every saint implement was extremely proud. They wouldn't surrender so easily. Plus, this saint implement had already been refined by Xing Yongming. His thoughts shifted, and the hellfire golden crow fire deep inside his body flooded into this long sword. Sizzle sizzle, in the blink of an eye, wisps of white smoke came out from the long sword, and a miserable scream came from the depths of the sword. Like a malicious spirit, it burned the longsword's artifact spirit and caused it to scream miserably. A chill surged out from the depths of everyone's hearts as they stared at Xiaoping in shock. They did not know what this kid had done to the Star Destroyer sword to put the artifact spirit of a saint artifact in such a miserable state. This was because of the power of the Golden Crow Hellfire. Its power was far too terrifying. Especially at Xiaoping's current level, its power was many times greater than before. This was a flame that could burn even demons to death. How could a mere saint implement's spirit withstand it? Once it seeped into the saint implement, It immediately burned the spirit half to death. It was as if it was in hell, and was being fried, grilled, and tortured. Bang! Immediately Xing Yongming, who was far away, spat out a mouthful of blood. He sensed that his mental connection with the low-tier saint implement, the star-punishing sword, had been forcibly severed. This meant that his saint implement had been forcefully refined by someone else, and he, the owner, had been forced out. He couldn't believe it, because it was impossible for cultivators below the saint level to forcefully refine a saint implement, even if it was the lowest level saint implement. After all, the mental connection between him and the saint implement was so strong that it was indestructible. No one could shake it. If this brat could refine it, didn't that mean his strength had reached the saint level? But this was impossible. If he really was a saint, he wouldn't need to waste words with them. With a thought, they would all turn to dust. This bastard must have used some unknown and terrifying secret technique to create such an effect. Xing Wudi, you dare to steal my saint implement? Aren't you afraid that I won't stop until you die? Xing Yongming roared in rage, his eyes wide open as he glared at Xiaping. Boundless killing intent brewed in his heart, and his eyes were scarlet red, filled with dense veins of blood. If you want to take it, then so be it. Do I need to discuss it with you? Now that this low-quality saint artifact has fallen into your hands, it's like a pearl covered in dust. Now that I've taken it away, it's also to tell you one thing. You're still not worthy of a saint artifact. A person with a shitty nose wants to learn from others and use a saint artifact. Isn't that like a 3-year-old waving a broadsword? Xiaping said disdainfully. With a light wave, he tossed the low-quality saint artifact, the star-exterminating sword, which had already stopped struggling, into the space of the pearl of mountains and rivers. He was very casual about it. Courting death. You're courting death. Seeing this scene, Xing Yongming was completely enraged. He was unable to restrain his anger, and his eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. He sensed that the mental connection between him and the star punishment sword had completely disappeared. Moreover, when he saw the star punishment sword fall into his opponent's hands, he couldn't imagine exactly how furious he was. One had to know that it was a low-grade saint artifact. It could be said that this low-grade saint artifact was his entire fortune. It was what he relied on to dominate the universe. In order to obtain this low-grade saint artifact, he had suffered countless grievances from his family. He had suffered many looks of disdain, had to suck up to the old ancestor, and had even exhausted his entire fortune to obtain it. But now, it had actually been taken away right under his nose. As the saying went, obstructing one's path to wealth was akin to killing one's parents. Right now, this bastard wasn't just obstructing one's path to wealth. He clearly wanted to make him go bankrupt and destroy all his years of hard work. Such hatred was comparable to the annihilation of an entire clan. He screamed, "All Starlight Race elites heed my command. Immediately set up the limitless Starlight Absolute Kill Array, and kill this bastard. I must tear him into pieces and destroy his soul." Although Xing Yongming wasn't the leader of all the Starlight Race members present, he was the leader of one of the Saint-grade airships. He had a total of 1,000 Starlight Race elites under him. These Starlight Race elites were very powerful. There were 800 Transcendence realms and 200 Lightning Tribulation realms. This power was enough to overturn a human world and sweep through it. Moreover, they were born in the Mystic Zone. Their bodies contained terrifying astral energy. In terms of individual strength alone, they were far superior to ordinary human experts of the same level. If there were no sages, this power could probably sweep through most of the forces in the Eastern Cosmos. At this moment, under Xing Yongming's furious bellow, the 1,000 Starlight Race members moved immediately. They were well trained and like an army, they circulated the spiritual power in their bodies. Walala, instantly, waves of domineering astral energy surged out from their bodies. As though they had turned into a star, they emitted countless rays of azure starlight. These starlights were so bright that they seemed to form a boundless star region. Vaguely, the starlight of this group of people fused together, forming a starry sky map of the outer realm. Countless stars decorated it, containing endless killing intent. Despicable. When Xing Rongmu and the others saw this, they all clenched their teeth. They felt that this Xing Yongming was too despicable. He couldn't beat the other party in a one-on-one fight, so he used his authority as a leader to gang up on Xing Wudi. They could sense how terrifying this formation map was. It contained endless astral energy that could destroy everything. The power of thousands of Starlight Race powerhouses, gathered together, was enough to kill any Lightning Tribulation Realm powerhouse. In fact, this was also a famous army-level formation of the Starlight Race. It was specially used to deal with war-level battles. This time, thousands of elites had arrived to deal with the powerhouses of the Radiant Moon Race and the Glorious Sun Race. But now they actually used it to deal with their own people, and a single person at that. This was like using a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. They didn't expect Xing Yongming to be this deranged. Die! Die, you lowly commoner! Xing Yongming's expression was ferocious and murderous. In order to kill this lowly commoner who robbed him of his inferior-grade saint artifact, he didn't care about anything. Even if he used his authority as a leader, and would be severely punished when he returned to the Starlight Race, he didn't care. That inferior-grade saint artifact was his life, his wife. He would fight with his life if anyone took it away from him. Therefore, he didn't care about the consequences. He would kill this lowly commoner in an instant. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, the thousands of elites of the Starlight Race formed seals with their hands and activated the astral energy in their bodies, increasing the power of the formation to the extreme. This formation map came crashing down, vast and boundless, from the void. One after another, stars fell from the sky. It was as if countless stars had exploded. They were densely packed and filled a radius of tens of millions of kilometers. There was almost no escape. Chapter 2007. Limitless Starlight Absolute Kill Formation? What an interesting formation. However, this is just child's play. I've seen even more powerful techniques. Break it. Xiaoping's expression was very calm. He was not moved at all. A wave of tyrannical energy rose from his body. Another universal Dharma form burst out. It was a divine elephant that stood tall in the sky and merged with the space gate. This divine elephant stepped out from the depths of the space gate. Its body was augmented by the energy of thousands of stars, which made the divine elephant's power increase endlessly. It roared at the sky and crushed the stars. As soon as it appeared, it did not dodge. Like a space fortress, it bombarded the formation map of the Starlight Race valiantly. Boom! A single attack was like thousands of stars exploding at the same time, or millions of volcanoes erupting at the same time. The power it contained was beyond the imagination of ordinary cultivators. The combination of the divine elephant and the star universal Dharma form was not as simple as 1 + 1. The power was increased by several times at the very least. It was like the collision of stars, sweeping everything in its path. Boom! In the next second, the divine elephant's huge body collided with the formation map. Immediately, the formation map was smashed into pieces. Countless stars were shattered. How is this possible? The elites of the Starlight Race could not believe their eyes. This was the internal battle formation of their Starlight Race. The power it contained was enough to kill any Thunder Retribution Realm powerhouse. Even if they had divine weapons, they would not be able to defeat it. However, this guy in front of them was barehanded. He was only using his own universal Dharma form to rampage around. With absolute power, he smashed the formation that they had created into pieces. They clearly saw countless starlights that could pierce through the void bombarding the divine elephant. However, the divine elephant was not damaged at all. It seemed to have reached the realm of invulnerability. Pfft! The formation was broken. The elites of the Starlight Race suffered an unprecedented backlash. They could not help but spit out a large mouthful of blood. Their internal organs were severely damaged, and their faces were ashen. They felt that their bodies had been severely injured by a tyrannical force, and their bones were shattered. Their bodies were like leaves blown by a gale, and they couldn't help but retreat. Dong dong dong. Many elites of the Starlight clan were blown away and smashed into the mountains far away, creating giant pits. The area within 10,000 kilometers was full of pits and hollows, making it look like the surface of the moon. Even Xing Yongming was the same. Although he did not bear the brunt, he was standing nearby. He was blown away by the violent wind for hundreds of kilometers. He felt that his body was about to be flattened by the wind, and was about to be smashed into meat paste. He could not exert any power at all. He was as weak as an ant. Impossible. What's going on? Over 1,000 elites of my starlight race have formed the limitless starlight ultimate killing formation. Man and God are unstoppable. Xing Yongming completely broke down. He did not dare to believe that not only were they unable to kill this brat, but they were also defeated on the spot by the other party, utterly defeated. He felt that this was the most ridiculous thing in the world. Dong! Before Xing Yongming could understand what was going on, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was Xia Ping. He stomped Xing Yongming into the ground, making him unable to move. You! Xing Yongming was shocked and enraged at the same time. A feeling of humiliation surged from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. He was simply infuriated. As a great aristocrat of the Starlight tribe, he was high and mighty, but now, he was being stepped on the ground by a peasant in public. This was a humiliation that he would never be able to wash away in this lifetime. However, there was no way for him to struggle. This was because the kick had sealed all the energy in his body. It was as if he had been sealed. He could not use any strength at all. Moreover, he had been severely injured by Xia Ping just now. He couldn't even use 10% of his strength. Right now he was even more fragile than a baby. Even if he was angry, there was nothing he could do. Do you still want to shred me into pieces? Do you think that you can be arrogant just because you are an aristocrat? You can beat and kill commoners as you please, treating them like pigs and dogs. Do you believe that even if I kill you and tear you apart, the family behind you won't be able to do anything to me? Xia Ping looked down at Xing Yongming indifferently. If Xia Ping had said this before, Xing Yongming would have treated it as a joke. However, it was different now. More than 1,000 elites had been defeated by this guy in front of him. And he was also beaten up like a dead dog. There was no way for him to fight back. If the other party were to really kill him, then the family behind him wouldn't be able to seek revenge. After all, the universe was just too big. If he were to hide anywhere, the Starlight tribe would be able to find him. And even if Xing Yongming died, it would be in vain. He could feel the terrifying killing intent coming from Xia Ping. It penetrated deep into his bones. It was as if he dared to say anything, his head would be crushed by the other party. Xing Yongming did not doubt that the man in front of him had the guts to do so. Monster! This is a monster! The 1,000 elites of the Starlight tribe who were sent flying and were severely injured on the spot looked at Xia Ping in fear. It was as if they were mice that had seen a cat. An uncontrollable fear surged out from their bodies. That attack from Xia Ping earlier on had shattered all of their guts, allowing them to sense the aura of death and the power of invincibility. There were over 1,000 of them working together. Even Xing Yongming, who wielded a low-grade saint artifact, would be smashed into minced meat instantly. Yet this kid had actually defeated them so easily. How could they have imagined something like this? Oh my god! Brother Invincible is too strong. What dogs hit aristocrats? Over 1,000 of them joined forces and deployed a supreme killing formation, but it was useless. He was finished off with a single punch. That's right. Even a sacred weapon is useless. His strength is boundless. Just what kind of terrifying character have we gotten to know? Is this the true strength of an adventurer in the universe? Extraordinary. Truly extraordinary. Those flowers that grow up in a greenhouse can't compare at all. No wonder Brother Invincible wasn't afraid earlier on. This strength is so strong that it makes one shudder. Xing Rongmu and the others were stunned. They held their breaths, unable to believe their eyes. Earlier on, they had thought that Xia Ping was dead for sure. They thought that he would be killed by Xing Yongming, and the others instantly, turning into dust. Chapter 2008. Tell me, how do you want to die? Do you want to be torn apart or fried? Xia Ping looked down at Xing Yongming, who was at his feet. His tone was cold and sinister. I don't want to die. I'm a noble of the Starlight race. I have a sage behind me. If you kill me, you won't be able to escape. You'll die too. You'll definitely die. Xing Yongming was shivering as he threatened. I see. Seems like you don't know how to speak human language. I'll just crush your head. Xiaoping's eyes gleamed coldly. No, no, no. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I can give you anything you want. I'm rich. I'm rich. Xing Yongming was so scared that he peed his pants. He hurriedly shouted, afraid that the man in front of him would crush his head in anger. He finally knew that his background was useless in front of this man. Brother, have mercy. At this moment, two voices came from afar. One was a middle-aged man in black, and the other was a long-haired young man in white. Their cultivation had reached the peak of the thunder tribulation state. At the same time, they exuded an iron-blooded aura that was even stronger than Xing Yongming's. They were both nobles of the Starlight race and captains of one of the spaceships. They commanded thousands of elites of the Starlight race. It could be said that their status was no lower than Xing Yongming's. Who are you? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows and looked at the two uninvited guests. I'm Xing Yongping. This is Xing Yiliang, the captains of these two spaceships. He's also one of the leaders who led the team to occupy this large world. He's a noble of the Starlight race. The one who spoke was Xing Yongping. He smiled. I'm here to ask you to let Xing Yongming go. He just has a cheap mouth. He doesn't mean any harm. Moreover, we're all from the Starlight race. Why do you have to fight to the death here? I hope you can be lenient, brother. That's right. And that inferior-grade sacred weapon. I hope you can return it to Xing Yongming. That's his life treasure. He can't lose it. It's just a misunderstanding. Xing Yiliang also spoke. Cheap mouth. Misunderstanding? Hearing that, Xiaoping instantly laughed. It was a sneer. Earlier, he brought out a sacred artifact to kill me. He even mobilized over 1,000 men. Is that also a misunderstanding? Taking 10,000 steps back. Even if it was a misunderstanding, why didn't you guys come out to stop him when he wanted to kill me just now? Now that Xing Yongming is in trouble and is at a disadvantage, you guys jump out. You guys sure know how to sail with the wind. Brother, it was indeed Xing Yongming's fault just now. He is still young and a little impulsive. Besides, aren't you fine? Now that he has become like this, it can be said that he has received sufficient punishment. You can also be considered a person with status. There is no need to continue to be overbearing, otherwise, it will not be good for anyone. Xing Yongping frowned. He felt that this kid didn't know how to appreciate favors. That's right. If you're really unwilling, we can give you some rewards as compensation for Xing Yongming's rudeness. At least we'll have an explanation. Xing Yiliang gave his suggestion. Boom! As soon as the sound of his voice faded, Xiaoping made his move. A claw slapped out, sealing the heavens and locking the earth. This entire space was grabbed by this giant claw, and all the elements of earth, wind, water, and fire seemed to have been grabbed. What? Xing Yongping and Xing Yiliang both felt the terror of this claw. It was as if they were facing a great enemy. Their hair stood on end, as if this claw would instantly tear their souls apart. At this moment, they finally felt the terrifying power of this man in front of them. In front of this person, they were not much stronger than babies. Their hearts were filled with fear. Dong! In the next second, before they could even react, their bodies were slapped hard onto the ground, creating a huge crater. They were like dead dogs. With a few cracking sounds, more than 10 bones in their bodies were broken. They couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Their clothes were instantly torn in half, and their skin was torn, revealing many terrifying bloody wounds. Xing Yongping and Xing Yiliang were both shocked and angry. They looked at Xiaoping in disbelief. They didn't expect that Xiaoping would dare to attack them at this moment. This was simply lawless. You're not happy, right? Do you believe that I won't cripple you immediately? I'll make you worse than trash. I want to see if you can still become nobles without cultivation. Xiaoping glanced at them. Hearing this, Xing Yongping and Xing Yiliang were scared half to death. Their hearts were filled with endless coldness and fear. If their cultivation was crippled, they would immediately be stripped of their nobles' identities when they returned to the Starlight race. Even if they weren't stripped of their identities, they were worse than dogs without cultivation. They might as well be killed directly. This was a fate worse than death. You want to stand out when you're not capable? You're overestimating yourself. Xiaoping looked down from above. Let me tell you the truth. I've roamed the universe for so many years. I've seen all kinds of people and races. The bullshit difference between nobles and commoners is nothing in my eyes. There's only one truth in this universe. The weak are prey to the strong. You want to use your identity to suppress me? You're delusional. Of course, you can be unhappy too. If you're unhappy, you can jump out and challenge me. Who else is unhappy now? He glanced at everyone. Many members of the Starlight race felt their hair stand on end. They felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave when Xiaoping's gaze swept past them. They couldn't move at all. Even though their leader was beaten like a dead dog, they didn't dare to move an inch. That was because the thousands of brothers from before had served as a warning. Even if they joined forces, they wouldn't be a match for this monster. If that was the case, they wouldn't dare to act recklessly. Whoever dared to stand out would be the first to die. There was no doubt about it. This is an expert, a peerless expert who can suppress everything. What bullshit nobles are nothing in front of him. Not even worth mentioning. Xing Rongmu and the others were in awe of Xiaoping. They admired Xiaoping from the bottom of their hearts, and treated him as their life idol. If one day they could reach this realm, and suppress these nobles to the point where they didn't even dare to breathe loudly, they would be willing to die for it. Seems like no one can save you. You're useless anyway. Just die. Xiaoping looked at Xing Yongming indifferently. Wait, don't kill me. I have ransom money. I have treasures that can compensate you. Spare my life. Spare my life. Xing Yongming was so scared that he peed his pants. His legs were trembling. Oh, what treasures? I've already stolen your sage artifact. You still have treasures? Xiaoping smiled. Also, I have the supreme secret technique of the Starlight race. This is a legacy of the nobles. As a commoner, you definitely haven't learned it. I can teach you. I can teach you everything. Chapter 2009. There was a huge gap between the nobles of the Starlight clan and the civilians. Not only was there a difference in aptitude and resources, but there was also a huge gap in the inheritance of various secret techniques. Commoners could only learn some low-level magical abilities, but nobles could learn all kinds of powerful magical abilities. This also led to the difference in combat power between the two sides, which could not be measured by miles. Hearing this, the expressions of Xing Yongping, Xing Ilyang, and the others changed drastically. They wanted to speak up and stop him. After all, this was the supreme secret art of the Starlight tribe. How could they just casually give it to others? That was a great crime of betrayal. But they were still silent. First of all, this person was a member of the Starlight tribe. Even though he was a commoner, he could still be considered as one of them. Even if this matter were to spread out, it wouldn't be considered as leaking information to an outsider. Secondly, based on the strength of this person, even without the supreme secret skill of the Starlight tribe, his own strength alone was enough to make him invincible in the Thunder Calamity realm. To be honest, if Xing Wudi returned to the Starlight tribe instead of going out to train, the Starlight tribe's king would probably make an exception and promote him to a noble with his strength. Therefore, even if he obtained the supreme secret skill of the Starlight clan in advance, it wouldn't be a big deal. It would only be the icing on the cake. Finally, they couldn't beat this kid at all. If they dared to make any noise, even if the other party didn't kill them because they were from the same clan, it would be easy for him to cripple them. This is interesting. I am indeed very interested in some of the peerless secret techniques of the nobles. Although learning them is better than nothing and won't increase my strength by much, I can still learn from them and learn from them. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. This ransom can keep you alive, but don't play any tricks. If I find anything fishy, you'll die without a burial. Of course I won't play any tricks. I'll tell you everything I know. Upon hearing this, Xing Yongming heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like he had made the right bet. Revealing some secret techniques of the Starlight tribe would allow him to live. This was a worthwhile deal. However, losing a low-grade saint artifact still pained him to death. After all, that was his entire fortune. However, compared to his own life, a sacred artifact was nothing. As long as he could survive, he would have a chance to make a comeback. Otherwise, everything would be over. Then say it now. I'm listening, Xiaoping said lightly. Yes. Xing Yongming immediately told Xiaoping about some of the supreme secret arts of the starlight race that he knew. He used his divine sense to transmit, so that only he and Xiaoping could hear the contents of the conversation. That was because there were many commoners here. The reason why he could reveal the secret arts to Xiaoping was because he recognized Xiaoping's strength. However, it was different for the other commoners. An hour later, he told them everything he knew about the secret techniques of the starlight race. Interesting. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. From Xing Yongming, he had learned many secret techniques of the starlight race, but the most important one was the inheritance and supreme technique of the starlight race, the yin-yang scripture of stars. This was an unparalleled skill that originated from the starlight tribe. By devouring the energy of the stars and gathering it together, it would form an unparalleled scripture, which would then be used on one's body to eventually become the king of the stars. He could feel that this inherited starlight pillar secret technique was of great benefit to him. It complemented the star guiding art, and was enough to make up for all the flaws in his body. Oh my God, it's the supreme secret technique of the starlight race, the yin-yang scripture of stars. When Corinne heard this news, he couldn't help but shout. At that time, Old Master almost went crazy because he wanted to obtain this secret technique of the starlight race. He felt that this secret technique could elevate him to a whole new realm, a whole new level. It's a pity that the starlight race is very powerful in the mystic area, and the Old Master couldn't provoke them at all. Even if he captured some of the starlight race's clansmen, it would be useless. There's a seal deep in their brain region, and they couldn't be forced to say anything. Once there's even the slightest bit of resistance, the seal in their brain region would immediately explode. But now, I can actually get this secret technique of Starlight Palace so easily. Moreover, the other party even took the initiative to say it. This is simply unimaginable and ridiculous. He never expected that the supreme secret technique of Starlight Palace, that the Old Master had been dreaming about day and night, would be obtained by Xiaoping so easily. It was really infuriating to compare oneself with others. It was too unfair. Xiaoping didn't care about Corinne's screams. He was carefully comprehending this supreme secret technique. The more he comprehended, the more he felt that this secret technique was incomparably exquisite. It was simply the crystallization of the supreme almighty of the starlight race's wisdom. It was a secret technique that led directly to the Great Way. This secret technique could actually smelt countless stars in the universe into one, and turn them into a book. He could then take possession of it, and completely control it. This was really unimaginable and extraordinary. System: spend 1 hatred crystal to learn the yin-yang scripture of stars. Xiaoping said to the system. Yes, host, as you wish, the system replied. Suddenly, a stream of information flowed into the depths of Xiaoping's brain region. Countless words and images appeared. Almost instantly, he had a deep understanding of this secret technique, as if he had cultivated it for thousands of years. Rumble. Xiaoping formed a seal with both hands, and a huge amount of star power gushed out from his body. His 108,000 pores emitted azure starlight, as if every acupoint was inhabited by a star. These starlight rays gathered together and countless star runes appeared. Finally, they intertwined with each other and condensed into a huge book of stars. One after another, restrictive arrays appeared in the book of stars. They seemed to contain infinite mysteries, as if the stars of the entire universe were contained in this book. Impossible. How did he learn it so quickly? I just started teaching him. Seeing this scene, Xing Yoming's face turned green with fright. He couldn't believe his eyes. One had to know that this was one of the supreme secret techniques of the starlight race. Its difficulty could be counted on one's fingers. Even if ordinary starlight race nobles learned it, they wouldn't be able to understand it at all. He, Xing Yongming, was also considered a genius. However, he had to learn it for a full 100 years before he could be considered to have crossed the threshold. Then he cultivated for thousands of years before he barely had a little understanding of it. But what was going on now? This was too ridiculous. He had just learned how to cultivate it, Yet he immediately learned it and crossed the threshold. Even if he was a genius, there should be a limit. What was this? How could ordinary people like them live? This was too much. He was so jealous that his intestines turned green. Previously, Xing Yongming had thought that he was a genius. However, after seeing Xing Wudi, he didn't think so at all. This guy was a genius. In front of this person, no one would dare to call themselves a genius. Monster. This commoner is indeed a monster. No wonder he has such strength without being trained by the Starlight race. He can travel in the universe with his own strength. Are all universe adventurers such terrifying monsters? Chapter 2010. However, this wasn't the end of the phenomenon. Xiaoping formed seals and circulated the star-guiding art in his body to communicate with the stars in outer space. Voila! Instantly, countless beams of starlight cascaded down from the depths of the void. Vast amounts of astral energy flowed into the Yin-Yang Stars book like thousands of rivers. The Yin-Yang Stars book devoured the vast amounts of astral energy in the depths of the void like a whale. Inside it, there seemed to be a space of nothingness, like an unfathomable universe. When the astral energy entered the book, it rapidly condensed, transforming into giant stars one after another. They revolved and contained boundless mysteries. What a joke, right? He just condensed the Yin-Yang Stars book, and he actually wants to devour and refine the stars? How can his cultivation speed be so fast? Is he still a member of the Starlight race? Xing Yongming's eyes widened. He discovered that in the depths of the book, there were actually stars lighting up one after another. Moreover, the number of stars was increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. This was the profoundness of the Yin-Yang Stars book. The more stars lit up in the book, the more terrifying the energy contained in the book would be, and the more powerful it would be. It was said that after becoming the king of the stars, this book would light up trillions of stars. It was as if this book had evolved into the void of the universe. When this book was flipped open, each page would represent a world. My God, too fast. His cultivation speed is too fast. It's even faster than taking a flying ship. Xing Yongping, Xing Iliang, and the rest were also dumbfounded. They could clearly see stars appearing in the depths of the book, densely packed and dotted with stars. In just an hour, 18,000 huge stars had appeared. These stars seemed to combine into a nebula, slowly evolving into a star field. Damn, this fellow is a monster. Xing Yongming was completely convinced. He had nothing to say. He had cultivated this supreme secret technique for several thousand years. But up until now, he had only lit up 1,800 stars. But this brat had just started cultivating, and had already condensed 18,000 stars. That was 10 times more than him. One could only imagine how great the gap between them was. Could it be that cosmic adventurers are really so terrifying? Far surpassing us aristocrats who live in a greenhouse? Xing Yongping could not help but ask. He felt that they were both Thunder Tribulation Realm cultivators. But why was the gap between them so huge? He could not understand it no matter how he thought about it. I think it's only natural. Universe adventurers travel all over the place and experience countless universe secret realms. 9 out of 10 of them die, and 1 out of 10 of them survive. Those who are able to survive are all top almighty beings. Even their chances of becoming a saint are more than 10 times higher than others. Xing Iliang sighed with emotion. He felt that being able to survive in such a dangerous environment meant that he had great ability. This was a great way to sharpen his martial arts cultivation and become even stronger. For people like them who had always been protected by their race, how could they compare to these monsters who had experienced countless life and death battles? It was only natural that there was a gap between them. Of course, with such a huge difference in strength, he felt that Xing Wudi was one of the top adventurers in the universe and shouldn't be a nobody. It stopped. It finally stopped. Xing Yongming immediately heaved a sigh of relief. He discovered that after this kid condensed 18,000 stars, the speed at which he condensed the stars slowed down. It was not as fast as before. If this continued, he felt that his heart was about to jump out of his chest. Interesting secret skill. Immeasurable. At that moment, Xiaoping comprehended the wonders of the Yin-Yang Book of Stars. He felt that he had melted the power of countless stars into one and placed it in the book. As long as he was willing, he could immediately take out the book and attack his enemy. In an instant, he could release the power of 18,000 stars. Such power was terrifying. Moreover, it could also record the power of the stars and absorb the power of the stars as its own, constantly growing stronger. Of course, one's consciousness and mana had to be able to withstand it. Otherwise, the entire book would collapse. No wonder the Starlight clan could survive in the mystic area. There were many saints. With such a secret skill of Star Palace, it was indeed extraordinary. It far surpassed the power of ordinary races. He felt that the Yin-Yang Book of Stars contained endless potential. If he continued to cultivate it, he would reach an unimaginable level. Plus, it also provided him with an offensive skill related to Star Palace. He could melt his power of stars into one and increase his fighting power by a few times. A day later, Xiaoping finally improved the secret skill of Star Palace to the point where it couldn't be improved anymore. The book recorded the power of 38,000 stars, which was a lot stronger than before. Inside the book, 38,000 stars revolved slowly, containing a dense power of the stars. It was as if they had formed a great yin-yang formation, communicating with each other and linking together. As long as he willed it, the 38,000 stars in the book would explode at the same time to kill his enemies. Ordinary enemies would probably be turned into ashes in an instant. At that moment, Xing Yongming and the others had also rested for a day and consumed healing elixirs. They had finally recovered from their injuries. Of course, they couldn't be compared to when they were at their peak. After all, they had suffered significant injuries. Brother Woody. At that moment, Xing Yongping walked over and said in a low voice, "We've been delayed for a day. We don't know if the Radiant Moon Clan and the Glorious Sun Clan's reinforcements have arrived yet. If they do, they might get ahead of us and take the chance to snatch the source of this world. By then we won't get anything. Why don't we hurry?" He carefully asked for Xiaoping's opinion. After yesterday's battle, Xiaoping's position in the Starlight clan was completely established. He was considered the #1 person in the Starlight clan. No one could ignore his opinion. Even though he wasn't a noble of the Starlight clan, no one dared to disrespect him. Vaguely, he had already become the temporary leader of the Starlight clan. In particular, Xing Rongmu and the others completely treated Xiaoping as a civilian hero and a spiritual leader. "Alright, since we're all full, let's go. I have no objections. Obtaining the source of this world is naturally the most important." Xiaoping nodded. He also wanted to go in search of the source of this world. If the source of this world was taken by other clans, then his efforts this time would really be in vain. He couldn't continue wasting time here. Okay. Hearing this, Xing Yongping and the others immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Since even Xiaoping had agreed, there was no reason for them to continue staying here. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Chapter 2011. Swoosh. Xiaoping and the others flew in the air, passing through mountains, rivers, deserts, plains, and so on. After flying for 4 hours, they finally arrived at their destination. This world's source energy was located in a boundless desert. It was like a sun that lay across the desert. At the same time, it gave off a scorching heat, causing not a single blade of grass to grow in this place. Such a powerful world source. Xiaoping looked from afar and realized that the source of this large-scale world was too big. It was more than 10,000 times bigger than the Durian world. This was a real sun. It stood on the plains, emitting waves that seemed to distort space. Terrifying heat emanated from it, as if it was going to scorch this area. If ordinary people tried to get close, they would be burned to ashes before they could even get within a few kilometers. That's right. This is the world source. Let's capture it immediately. Xing Yongming and the others were excited. They couldn't wait and rushed in. But as soon as he entered, the space around him distorted, and a huge wave of energy shook. Terrifying monsters appeared, numbering in the millions, and they charged in all directions. Moreover, each monster was very powerful. They were at least at the Transcendence realm. Some were even at the Lightning Tribulation realm. Their numbers were endless, covering the mountains and plains. What's going on? Isn't this a new world? There shouldn't be any living creatures here. Why are there monsters here? Someone from the Starlight race asked curiously. Because this is a large-scale world. The world source is so powerful that it makes one's hair stand on end. It already has a weak consciousness and can instinctively sense danger. Xing Yongping said solemnly. These monsters are actually guards created by the world source. They are condensed from huge energy to stop invaders. Fortunately, this large-scale world has just been born. If it continues to grow, I'm afraid we won't be able to do anything to it, unless a sage takes action personally. Xing Rongmu and the others nodded. It was because of these guards that they were blocking their way. Otherwise, they would have refined the world source long ago. Why would they call for reinforcements? In fact, the reinforcements weren't just to deal with the radiant moon race and the glorious sun race. They were also to deal with the powerful guards created by the world source. It's useless. How could a bunch of guards possibly stop the footsteps of the Starlight tribe? Die, all of you! Xing Yiliang bellowed and ordered the members of the Starlight race to attack. Xiao xiao xiao. In an instant, these members of the Starlight race unleashed their innate techniques one after another. From the depths of their bodies, massive amounts of cold astral energy gushed out, seemingly freezing everything. Rays of starlight erupted one after another. These starlights looked incomparably beautiful. The stars were resplendent, but they contained boundless killing intent that could pierce through everything. Bang bang bang. Instantly, the bodies of the 1,000,000 monsters in front of them were instantly pierced by the starlight, torn apart, and torn into pieces. The entire ground was also blasted open with astonishing craters. These monsters instantly turned into a ball of energy and disappeared from the world. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. This group of people from the Starlight race that came from the mystic zones was indeed extraordinary. They were born to be the children of the stars and could absorb the energy of the stars. It was almost impossible for an ordinary human cultivator of the same level to defeat them. It would probably take at least 5 or 6 people to team up. Rumble, the many warriors of the Starlight race pushed forward. Along the way, countless energy monsters appeared and swarmed over. There were millions of them, but it was all useless. Rays of starlight blasted over and were immediately turned into dust. The ground was also shaken to the point of collapsing. Shocking cracks appeared. Xiaoping also had a rare moment of leisure. He didn't need to do anything at all and continued to advance. After a whole 2 hours, they finally approached the origin of the world and arrived at the core area. Everyone could feel the massive heat coming from the origin of the world. It was almost roasting them. At the same time, this heat seemed to contain boundless vitality, which was greatly beneficial to countless living beings. They felt that their internal injuries were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. We're here. We finally reached the origin of the world. Haha, as long as we refine the origin of this world, this large world will belong to us, the Starlight race. Once we succeed, we'll definitely get great merits. It won't be a problem for us to become nobles. But why don't I see the figures of the radiant moon race and the glorious sun race? Have they disappeared? Who cares? I guess we've already arrived before their reinforcements. The many warriors of the Starlight race were excited. Looking at the massive and boundless origin of the world, they couldn't suppress the joy in their hearts. As long as they could successfully refine the origin of this world, each of them would get great merits. They would also be promoted in the Starlight race, which would bring them endless benefits. Brother. At this moment, Dumbo Gaia seemed to have also sensed the existence of the origin of the world. Her voice came from the space of the mountain river Pearl. She was extremely eager to devour the origin of this world. She could feel that as long as she devoured the origin of this world, she would be able to make up for all the flaws in her body. She would ascend to the immortal level immediately and attain true transcendence. Don't be hasty. Let's see if there are any other enemies. Xiaoping sent a telepathic message to appease the agitated Dumbo. He wanted to continue observing the situation and make a move after seeing all the enemies clearly. Otherwise, if he was ambushed by some enemies, all his previous efforts would be in vain. Let's go. Xing Yongming and the others were extremely excited. They immediately gave the order. The many warriors of the Starlight race approached the origin of the world. They planned to set up a formation and integrate the talismans of the Starlight race to refine this large-scale world. The refinement of a small-scale world only required one sage-grade talisman. However, it was different for a large-scale world. Its origin was much stronger than that of a small-scale world. One sage-grade talisman couldn't refine it at all. It required many restrictive formations and 18,000 sage-grade talismans, which would take 3 days and 3 nights to refine it successfully. Therefore, it was extremely difficult to fight for a large-scale world every time. However, at this moment, when the warriors of the Starlight race took one step closer to the origin of the world, a wave of black energy surged out from the depths of the world. It covered the sky and covered the ground. The area within a range of billions of kilometers turned into a boundless dark area. It seemed that at this moment, a black fog had shrouded the void, isolating every corner and sealing the void. What's going on? What happened? Damn it. We fell into an ambush. It must be the work of the radiant moon race or the glorious sun race. They arrived long ago and set up a formation to wait for us. Chapter 2012. Rumble. In an instant, the surrounding 10 million kilometers were filled with boundless black gas. In the sky, 8 huge steels appeared. Each steel was like a mountain that was thousands of meters tall, floating in the air. The steels were densely engraved with words that looked like a supreme scripture. 4 of the steels contained mysterious Yin energy and emitted an extreme chill that seemed to freeze everything. The other 4 steels contained pure Yang energy that was extremely pure. They were like the sun that could burn everything. The 2 energies were polar opposites, but they were very harmonious, as if Yin and Yang were in one. They were soft and indestructible, forming a huge space cage. It's an inferior-grade sacred weapon. Xiaoping squinted his eyes. He could sense that the 8 steels were all inferior-grade sacred weapons. Moreover, each steel had a very powerful aura, as if they could break through to a middle-grade sacred weapon at any time. The formation formed by the 8 inferior-grade sacred weapons was simply earth-shattering. It created a huge prison that even a Thunder Tribulation Realm expert could forget about escaping from. Damn it, it's the Mystic Moon Demon Sealing Steel and the Crimson Sun Demon Sealing Steel. Xing Yangming's expression changed drastically. He obviously recognized the 8 steels. This is the powerful sacred weapon of the Radiant Moon race and the Glorious Sun race. It was a terrifying treasure used to suppress demons in the abyss. Once set up, it can seal the sky and lock the earth, freeze the space, and isolate everything. Only sages can escape. A look of terror appeared on his face. He did not expect to encounter such a powerful magic treasure. I could understand if there were only 4 stone steels. But now there are 8 of them. What is going on? Is the Glorious Sun race and the Radiant Moon race working together to deal with the Starlight race? Xing Ilyang suddenly thought of the horrifying truth. If the Radiant Moon race and the Glorious Sun race were really working together, the Starlight race would be doomed this time. Many warriors of the Starlight race thought of this too. If the 2 races were not working together, it was impossible to set up 2 formations at the same time to trap them. Haha, you guys are smart and not hopeless. You guessed that the Glorious Sun race and the Radiant Moon race are working together. Just at this moment a voice rang out. It was a loud laughter filled with pride. However, this voice rang out from all directions. No one knew where this voice came from. It was as if the entire dark space was filled with its voice. How can this be? Aren't the Radiant Moon race and the Bright Sun race sworn enemies? Why are you 2 working together? Xing Yongming simply couldn't believe it. There are only eternal interests in this world. There are no eternal enemies. In order to fight for this large world, our 2 races will naturally put aside their prejudices and blood feuds. Another voice sounded, and it seemed to be the leader of the Radiant Moon race. This is the normal region, the territory of the human race, the demon race, and other peak races. If our 3 races fight, we won't be able to determine a winner in a short period of time, and the shockwaves of the battle might attract the attention of other races. At that time, this large world might not be ours. In order to prevent the other races from competing for this world, the Radiant Moon race has decided to join hands with the Glorious Sun race to eliminate the Starlight race. It stated its plan and purpose clearly, stating that in order to completely obtain this large world, it was willing to temporarily abandon its prejudice and join hands with the enemy. Even though there was a blood feud, the benefits were too great, and they were willing to let it go. Why don't you join hands with the Starlight race? Can't the three races work together? Xing Yongming said unwillingly. Although this world is huge, it's also very small. It's enough to accommodate two races. There's no need for a third race to appear. That voice sounded again. It was very clear that if one more race wanted to share this world, they would have to give up more benefits. However, if there were only two races, they would be able to obtain more. Clearly, the Starlight race had been excluded from the list of competitors. Damn it! The warriors of the Starlight race were very unwilling, and they felt a chill in their hearts. They didn't expect the Glorious Sun race and the Radiant Moon race to join hands and set up such a trap for them. It seemed that they were doomed this time. Do you think that the two races can kill us by joining hands? I'll be honest with you. Even if you can really do it, you'll suffer great losses and countless casualties, Xing Yongming said fiercely. Haha, an idiot. A leader of the Glorious Sun race laughed loudly. Do you think I don't know your background, Xing Yongming? You have an inferior grade saint artifact, the Star Punishment Sword, right? With this inferior grade saint artifact, you're very arrogant. Unfortunately, we have a total of 8 low-grade saint artifacts and 8 demon sealing steels. Even if there were billions of abyssal fiendish demons here, they would be easily suppressed. You guys are nothing. Whoosh, as soon as he finished speaking, the leader of the Glorious Sun race seemed to make a move. Instantly, the 4 Scarlet Sun demon sealing tablets trembled and released endless light like the sun. In an instant, rays of scarlet light shot out from the depths of the void. They contained terrifying killing intent and terrifying heat, as if they could tear everything apart. Moreover, there were thousands of these scarlet lights, and they covered the sky and earth. They poured down like raindrops, and there was nowhere to hide. Mystic Moon Demon Sealing Tablet, suppressed demons. The leader of the Radiant Moon race also made a move. The other 4 stone tablets trembled and released a watery silver light. Like flowing mercury, a huge amount of moonlight descended. Immediately, the surrounding tens of millions of kilometers seemed to be filled with a terrifying dark aura. It froze everything, and the ground in the distance quickly froze at a visible speed. Huge boulders, and even mountains in the distance were frozen into ice sculptures. The 8 stone tablets trembled at the same time, and the entire array formation formed an absolute spatial prison. It was extremely sturdy, and no one could escape from this spatial prison. It's over. It's all over now. 8 inferior grade saint artifacts. How are we going to block them? These are terrifying saint artifacts that have killed countless demons from the abyss. We can't block them at all. What should we do? Are we just going to wait for death now? Many warriors of the Radiant Moon race were in despair. They were helpless and helpless. In the face of this absolute power that came crashing down from all directions, they felt incomparably weak, like ants that would be drowned alive in a flood. Xing Yongming and the others also had ashen faces. They gritted their teeth, but they were unwilling to die in the conspiracy of the Radiant Moon race and the Glorious Sun race. Even if they died, they had to let them know how powerful the Radiant Moon race was. Chapter 2013. Xing Wudi. What is he trying to do? Is he trying to block the attack of 8 inferior grade sacred artifacts alone? Are you kidding me? No matter how strong he is, it's impossible for him to do that. Xing Yongming and the others were stunned. They didn't expect Xing Wudi to take the initiative to attack at this moment. Moreover, he was alone. They felt that this kid was crazy and was seeking his own death. Boom. Xiaoping didn't say anything. A strong wave of primordial qi immediately surged out of his body and quickly formed a universal Dharma idol. It was originally a star Dharma idol, but after cultivating the Yin Yang Book of Stars, it had also evolved. This heaven and earth projection also underwent an evolution, quickly turning into an enormous, profound, and immeasurable book. It flickered with specks of starlight, containing countless stars. Walala with a thought, the mountain-like book began to move. With a rustling sound, it flipped open page after page, and 38,000 stars flew out at the same time. These 38,000 stars released endless light at the same time. Beams of blue light tore through the darkness and lit up the surroundings. It was as if it was daytime within a radius of millions of kilometers. In an instant, under the control of the Yin-Yang Book of Stars, 38,000 stars blasted out. They spun and were filled with dense power of stars, as if they had turned into a huge galaxy. Bang, bang, bang. This galaxy crushed fiercely, the countless beams of red light in midair, and the mysterious Yin aura in the sky were all shattered. It was as if the world was collapsing. Terrifying waves erupted and swept in all directions. Deep in the void, the space exploded inch by inch, and a series of earth-shattering explosions rang out. The region within a radius of millions of kilometers was razed to the ground. Even the 8 demon ceiling tombstones were sent flying. The space of the demon ceiling formation seemed to be on the verge of collapse. Cracks that could be seen with the naked eye appeared in the spatial barrier in the depths of the void, and cracking sounds could be heard. The warriors of the radiant moon race and the glorious sun race, who were hidden in the depths of the void, also couldn't withstand the waves of power. They were sent flying, and appeared in front of the warriors of the starlight race. Impossible! He's actually able to block the full-powered strike from the Scarlet Sun Demon Sealing Tablet and the Dark Moon Demon Sealing Tablet. That's the combined might of 8 low-quality saint artifacts. How can he do something so absurd? Not to mention he's using his bare hands. The leader of the Glorious Sun clan simply could not believe what he was seeing. It was simply unimaginable. According to his understanding, when the 8 inferior-grade sacred weapons were activated at the same time, the Starlight Tribe warriors would be instantly obliterated and turned into ashes. However, what was going on? All of a sudden, an invincible figure had appeared. With just one move, the 8 demon sealing tombstones were on the verge of collapse. Even the spatial cage was on the verge of collapse. Spatial cracks had appeared. This is the Starlight Tribe's supreme secret technique, Star's Yin-Yang scripture. The leader of the Radiant Moon race recognized the martial arts ability that Xiaoping had used. However, he was extremely shocked. But there are many warriors of the Starlight race who have successfully cultivated this secret technique. Why is this kid's power so great? Isn't that Book of Stars a little too powerful? It can actually contain 38,000 stars. Can his body withstand it? To be honest, theoretically speaking, the Star's Yin-Yang scripture could contain countless stars. But the problem was that even cultivators might not be able to withstand the power of so many stars. It was just like Xing Yongming. It was not that he did not want to increase the power of the stars in his infinite stars Yin-Yang scripture. The problem was that 1,800 stars was already his limit. If he continued to increase it, he might not be able to withstand it at all. The entire book might collapse and turn into a ball of energy. It might even backfire on him, and he would be heavily injured. Where did this kid come from? Why haven't I seen him before? Is there such a terrifying expert hidden among the Starlight race? Where did he come from? The leader of the Radiant Sun race had a solemn expression. He felt that things had gone beyond his expectations. He did not expect the Starlight race to have such a terrifying expert hidden. The problem was that he thought that he had completely understood the information about the Starlight race, to the extent that he knew them like the back of his hand. However, he had never seen this Starlight race warrior before him. Even many of the famous geniuses of the Starlight race could not match up to this person. If he was a genius of the Starlight race, he should have been famous a long time ago. There was no way such a powerful Starlight race warrior would not be known. Haha, foolish Radiant Sun race and Radiant Moon race. At this time, seeing this scene, Xing Yongming was extremely proud. You think that you can kill us by laying a trap. But how do you know the strength of the Starlight race? It's just 8 low-grade sacred tools. One of the experts of my race can deal with them. Everything you have done is useless. Seeing that Xiaoping easily blocked the power of the 8 demon-sealing tombstones while he himself was unharmed, he immediately became smug. It was as if he was taking credit for this matter. The other Starlight Race warriors were also overjoyed. Fortunately, they had encountered this powerful Starlight Race universe adventurer this time. Otherwise, their lives would have been frozen. Even the Starlight Race warriors who had been defeated by Xiaoping before felt the same. With such a powerful expert protecting them, they instantly felt very safe. Arrogant. Hearing this, the leader of the Radiant Sun race was completely enraged. You want to fight against 8 low-grade sacred tools alone? You are simply daydreaming. Just now, I was only careless and you guys found an opening. Also, the power just now was not the full power of the demon-sealing tombstone. You only blocked one attack, and you are already so proud. Don't look down on me. That's right. Under the power of the Scarlet Sun demon-sealing tombstone and the Mystic Moon demon-sealing tombstone, even if you are an unparalleled prodigy, you can only die in this place. Victory will belong to the Radiant Moon race. The leader of the Radiant Moon race was also angry. He could not tolerate the Radiant Moon race being looked down on like this. This was already related to the dignity of the Radiant Moon race, and he definitely could not let it go like this. Fool! Do you think I will still give you a chance to attack? Break! In an instant, while the leaders of the 2 races were talking, Xiaoping made his move. He grasped the opportunity and the opening in that instant, and the Infinite Stars book appeared on his body again. Immediately, the 38,000 stars trembled and released endless starlight. It seemed to completely illuminate this dark area, without any blind spots. Everyone could not withstand such intense light, and closed their eyes one after another. Such starlight could even distort the divine senses. They all felt as if they had become blind at this moment, unable to see or sense anything. Reincarnation Brush. Chapter 2014. Bang! With just a single stroke, the terrifying sharpness of the reincarnation brush erupted. It was invincible, and the entire cage space was split open, as if it had been torn apart by a sword. That transparent spatial barrier also shattered like glass. Cracking sounds rang out as spatial fragments continuously fell down. The entire formation completely collapsed just like that. It was completely torn apart. At the same time, the 8 demon-sealing tombstones were sent flying by the terrifying chi, and could no longer maintain the matrix. The entire world returned to a clear world where nothing could obstruct it. How is this possible? The people from the Radiant Moon race and the Glorious Sun race were dumbfounded. They were completely dumbfounded. They would never have thought that such a thing would happen. With just a single strike, the restrictive matrix that they had painstakingly set up was torn apart. One must know that this was a matrix set up by 8 inferior-grade sacred artifacts. Even billions of demons could be easily suppressed and could not be broken through. It was known as an unbreakable prison. But what exactly is going on right now? Merely a single strike has shattered this formation into pieces. Isn't this a little too absurd? Isn't this a little too much? As expected of Brother Woody, you are so strong. Xing Yongming and the others were overjoyed. They thought that they were dead for sure. After all, this was a fatal trap set up by the Radiant Moon race and the Glorious Sun race. Moreover, 8 inferior-grade sacred artifacts were used at the same time. How could they withstand it? However, they didn't expect that Xiaoping would be able to destroy the restrictive array formation, all by himself, in such a short period of time. Breaking the cage. This way they could escape at any time. Nice Dharma treasures. They are all mine. Xiaoping waved his hand. Immediately, the Scarlet Sun Demon sealing tombstone and Mystic Moon Demon sealing tombstone, floating in midair, were sucked into his hand and imprisoned by his restrictive matrix. Immediately, the 8 demon sealing tombstones were struggling non-stop, trying to break free from Xiaoping's hand. He felt that these sacred artifacts were very suitable for him. If he could snatch them away, they would definitely be very beneficial to him. Moreover, this was also to punish the 2 races for attacking him. A small punishment was a great warning, and he needed to compensate them. Stop. This is the sacred artifact of the Radiant Moon race. How dare you snatch it? Damned bitch of the Starlight clan. If you dare snatch away my clan's sacred artifact, my glorious Sun clan will never let you off. Let go of your filthy hands right now. This is my clan's sacred artifact. It is not something you can touch. When the leaders of the Radiant Moon race and the glorious Sun race saw this, they were both shocked and enraged. They felt as if their hearts had been grabbed by someone. This was a sacred weapon of their race, and was extremely precious. They were only able to lend them out because they wanted to fight for this large world. If they lost these saint artifacts, they would be severely punished when they returned to their clans. At that time, even if they were not executed, they would be imprisoned as criminals for at least a few thousand years. How could they bear the thought of their sacred weapons being snatched away? You still want to struggle? Die. Without waiting for the two races to make a move, Xia Ping immediately poured the infernal golden crow flames in his body into the demon-sealing tombstones. In an instant, the enormous flames surrounded the 8 demon-sealing tombstones. Crash! In an instant, the artifact spirits inside the 8 demon-sealing tombstones let out blood-curdling screams. At the same time, their mental connection with the leaders of the two races was immediately severed, and they were completely burned away. Immediately, the leaders of the two races let out blood-curdling screams. Their mental connection with the sacred weapons was severed, and they immediately suffered a severe backlash. They coughed out blood on the spot, their minds injured and their breathing weak. After a few breaths, the 8 demon-sealing tombstones stopped struggling. Obviously, they were frightened by Xia Ping's means. If they continued to burn, their minds would be burned into nothingness. As a result, Xia Ping easily refined the 8 demon-sealing tombstones and became their master. Small. With a thought, Xia Ping controlled the 8 demon-sealing tombstones that were even taller than mountains rapidly shrank to the size of glass beads, lying obediently in his palm. Starlight race, you and I are irreconcilable. I won't rest until one of us is dead. Seeing this, the leaders of the glorious Sun race and the Radiant Moon race were so furious that they coughed out blood again. They knew that the 8 infernal sacred weapons no longer belonged to them. This bitch had forcefully snatched away their beautiful wives in front of them. This was a huge humiliation that could not be washed away. Serves you right. Seeing the miserable appearance of the two, Xing Yongming gloated. Although his sacred weapon was also taken away by Xia Ping, it did not stop him from hitting the two when they were down and mocking them. After all, these two races had joined hands to set up a trap to kill them all and eliminate them completely. Now that they had lost a few sacred weapons, it was already too easy for them. Foolish Radiant Moon clan and Radiant Sun clan. This is the result of offending our Starlight clan. Earlier, you were acting all high and mighty. Now, all 8 of your low-grade saint artifacts have been snatched away by us. I'd like to see just how you fellows can continue to act so arrogantly. Come on. Take out your saint artifacts to put on a show. Xing Yongping and the others were extremely pleased. Xia Ping had helped them vent their anger. These two races had been extremely arrogant just now, wanting to catch them all in one fell swoop with just 8 infernal sacred weapons. They were scared out of their wits. Now that they finally had the upper hand, there was no reason not to hit them when they were down. Warriors of the glorious Sun race and the Radiant Moon race, listen up. Attack together and kill this despicable Starlight race. Tear him into pieces. We must take back those sacred weapons. They are the sacred weapons of our race, and we can't lose them. Otherwise, all of us will be in big trouble. The leader of the Radiant Moon race shouted with a sinister expression as he gave the order. The thousands of warriors of the Radiant Moon race and the glorious Sun race behind him shivered. They also knew the severity of this matter. Even if they didn't get the origin energy of this world, they couldn't lose the sacred weapons. Don't be anxious. Suddenly, Xia Ping waved his hand and gazed into the distance. I know very well that you fellows want to snatch back the sacred artifact. However, before we deal with that, we have to deal with some rats first. Otherwise, we might all be wiped out. What? Hearing this, the warriors of the Radiant Moon race and the glorious Sun race were shocked and looked at each other. Could there be other forces lying in ambush here? But when they scanned the surroundings with their divine senses, they didn't find any auras. The two leaders sneered. Just as they were about to mock Xiaoping for pretending to be mysterious and deceptive, Xiaoping suddenly moved. Interesting. You guys still haven't come out. Do you really think that your concealment abilities are unparalleled in the world, and that no one can discover you? Come out now. Chapter 2015. Dong. In an instant, an earth-shattering sound came from the empty void. It was as if a train had crashed into a mountain, causing dazzling sparks. Whoosh! In the next second, a dense crowd of people appeared in the void. All of them were holding powerful treasures in their hands. Their faces were filled with astonishment. They did not expect that they would really be discovered. After all, they had used the Void Boat, a middle-grade sacred artifact that could hide in the depths of the void. It was invisible and did not leak any aura. They should not have been discovered. But now, he had really been discovered, and his position had been accurately located. However, they did not know that Xiaoping had the golden crow's eyes of hell. His eyes could see through all illusions in the world. Even if they were hiding in the depths of the void, they could not hide from his eyes. Damn it! There are really enemies lying in ambush nearby. Humans. They are humans. Bastards. Why would humans appear in this place? The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Could it be that humans have been the oriole all this time? They want to see us and the starlight race to be mutually injured before they make their move. Sinister. Humans are too sinister. Impossible. When did humans appear in this large world? Why haven't we discovered them? The warriors of the glorious sun race and the radiant moon race were dumbfounded. They thought that Xiaoping was just fooling around. They did not expect that what he said was true. There were enemies lying in ambush nearby, and they had not discovered them yet. At the thought of this, a chill ran down their spines. If Xiaoping did not point this out, when they were satisfied with taking care of the starlight race, the humans would suddenly appear and give them a fatal blow. Then the radiant moon race and the glorious sun race would be completely finished. They would follow the footsteps of the starlight race and die without a burial place. The starlight race was also dumbfounded. They did not expect that there would be humans lying in ambush here. They had no idea when the humans discovered this large world. And a bunch of rats. Don't you want to come out? Xiaoping waved his hand, and a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas crushed down, bombarding the northwest direction. Boom! In an instant, the space twisted and endless ripples appeared in the void. Suddenly, a group of densely packed figures were exposed. They emitted a terrifying demonic aura and soared into the sky. Demons. The starlight race, radiant moon race, and glorious sun race immediately recognized that these were demon monarchs of the demon race. There were tens of thousands of them. Their hair stood on end. They didn't expect that there would be over 10,000 demon kings lying in ambush nearby. Fuck this group of old cunning bastards. They had nothing better to do all day, and they only knew how to ambush others in the dark. They were simply shameless. Could they still be considered a peak race? He had no sense of magnanimity, and only knew how to plot against others. He was shameless to the extreme. That's right. We used the supreme divine ability of the demon race, the limitless shadow void secret technique, to completely conceal our figures. We turned into shadows, and escaped into the void without making a sound. I didn't expect you to be able to discover us even with that. As expected of an expert from the starlight race of the mystic zones. It seems that I won't be able to plot against you. The Demon King leader said. What a pity. I originally wanted to wait for the three races to fight to the death, and both sides to suffer, and then reap the benefits. I didn't expect that I would fail. This is a miscalculation on my part. The one who spoke was an old acquaintance of Xiaoping, Su Chong of the Holy Land of Taichu. Xiaoping had met him once in the creation map of heavens. This time, he personally led a group of over 10,000 human experts. Fuck, they really wanted to plot against us. These shameless bitches. The faces of the starlight race, radiant moon race, and glorious sun race were very ugly. This matter had happened a bit beyond their imagination. They had thought that their operation was foolproof. They didn't expect that they had already been exposed to the enemy. How on earth did you discover this large world? I remember that we didn't expose any information at all. Why are you here? Xing Yongming was very puzzled. The others were also very puzzled. They didn't believe that there was a traitor among them. Idiot. Do you think this is the Mystic Zones? This is the territory of the human race. There are traps everywhere. You acted with great fanfare, and so many experts set out. Do you really think that your whereabouts are hidden? Hearing this, Su Chong immediately laughed. You don't know that our human race has long been watching your movements. Of course we wouldn't miss it. We sent people to follow you. And as a result, we discovered this news. Then we immediately sent reinforcements. He clearly told the three races that this was the power of the human race's intelligence network. In fact, this was something that everyone knew, so there was nothing to hide. That's right. This kind of thing can't be hidden from the demon race. The Demon King leader also nodded. They had also sent experts to investigate and follow these races from the Mystic Zones. They definitely wouldn't be careless. They didn't expect to find such an unexpected harvest. The discovery of a large world was earth-shattering wealth. It was enough to start a war. Moreover, they were just some pawns. After a while, the reinforcements of the various races would arrive one after another. By then there would probably be more than 100 million soldiers. That would be the real war. Rivers of blood would flow. In fact, they didn't need to do much. They just needed to buy time. When the reinforcements arrived, these enemies would be annihilated in an instant. The hearts of the Starlight race, the Radiant Moon race, and the Glorious Sun race were heavy. They knew that they were really screwed this time. They had really underestimated the power of the human race and the demon race. They didn't expect that their every move was under the surveillance of someone. It was no wonder that they hadn't found anything in the Mystic Zones. They didn't expose themselves before, because the benefits weren't great enough. However, it was different now. The appearance of a large world was enough to see through all pretenses. The people of the Radiant Moon race and the Glorious Sun race no longer had the mood to deal with the Starlight race. Instead, they were comrades in the same boat. If they didn't work together, they would probably be annihilated by the experts of the human race and the demon race. Surrender. Su Chong said. You have no chance of winning. Moreover, this large world belongs to the Mystic Zones. The races of the Mystic Zones shouldn't set foot here. This isn't your territory. He wanted to persuade the three races to surrender and subdue the enemy without a fight, because he was very wary of the expert who had torn apart the restriction formation, set up by 8 low-grade sacred tools with one strike. His instincts told him that if he offended this person, he wouldn't have a good ending. In order to avoid huge losses and buy time, he didn't mind continuing to negotiate with this group of people. Trying to buy time? Xiaoping immediately saw through Su Chong and the others' thoughts. He looked around with the golden crow of hell and found that there were no more enemies lying in ambush. He finally made up his mind. Since there were no more enemies lying in ambush, he would take care of this group of people and completely occupy this world. Otherwise, when the reinforcements of the demon race and the human race arrived, it would be troublesome. Chapter 2016. However, if he acted rashly, he might expose his identity. Xiaoping did not want his identity to be exposed. He rubbed his chin and decided to let someone else take on Wu Wudi's appearance to fight for the source of the world. If Dumbo acted personally, he believed it would not be a problem to deal with this group of people. Right, I'll just get Tan Menglu to pretend to be Wu Wudi. Let her take on Wu Wudi's appearance. And we'll work together to capture this group of people in one fell swoop. Thinking of this, Xiaoping's thoughts moved. Instantly, his divine sense entered the Mountain River Pearl's space. His energy vibrated, quickly forming an energy clone that went to find Tan Menglu. Whoosh! In an instant, his energy clone descended into a valley in the Mountain River Pearl's space. That was where Tan Menglu was. What's going on? Just as he neared the valley, Xiaoping saw a mountain of trash nearby. They were all piled up with waste, food scraps, or household garbage. It looked very majestic and was hundreds of meters tall. There were also 2 primordial species that were like housekeepers, working hard to move the trash and clean the place. They were as diligent as bees, going in and out diligently. He had seen these two primordial species before. They were the Fey and Crow demon bird that he had captured. He did not expect these two to be captured by Tan Menglu to be cleaners. He ignored them and immediately entered the valley. In the center of the valley, there were two large beds, and beside them were piles of food. Two little Lolas were dispiritedly lying on the beds. They were connected to the universe virtual network and were still shouting, "Tank, hurry up and go. Block the front and protect me. Support, immediately control the assassin. Hurry and control it. The assassin is coming to kill me. Healer, I'm out of health. Heal me. Why are you so slow? Do you know how to play? Move quickly and dodge the skill. Haha, I'm barely alive. Hit me. I'm standing here. Kill me if you dare. Fuck, it's really coming. Hurry and run. Sigh trash. They're all trash. None of my teammates are useful. I'm the only one." Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu were making a big fuss, looking very excited. In the end, they had successfully escaped and let out a deep breath. Seeing this scene, Xiaoping's mouth twitched. It was as if he saw two young girls addicted to online games, unable to extricate themselves. Thinking of this, he did not forget the purpose of his visit this time. He reached out and pinched their chubby cheeks, woke them up, and temporarily got them out of the virtual network. Who has the guts to disturb this king's gaming? Don't you know that this is a crime of deceiving the king? Chong Xiaoqian was startled awake. She widened her eyes in anger. Someone actually dares to disturb me while I'm gaming? Isn't he afraid that I'll send him to prison for a few thousand years? She widened her eyes and saw Xiaoping looking at her expressionlessly. Regent! Chong Xiaoqian was completely dumbfounded. She didn't think that Xiaoping would appear at this time, and a bad premonition welled up in her heart. It was as if she had seen a demon king. Chong Xiaoqian, what are you doing? Why did you leave the game? Don't you know that we're going to fight a boss? Hurry up and gather up. And why is Master here too? Tan Menglu shouted. She was also making a fuss. At the same time, she also noticed Xiaoping and was instantly stunned. What do you mean I'm here too? I didn't come here. I didn't know that the two of you were so decadent. Instead of studying, you only know how to play games and lie in bed all day like corpses. Xiaoping was heartbroken. The two Lolas had actually become dead otakus. He stared at them and said, Chong Xiaoqian, where's your homework? Have you finished all of it? Homework? I'll never do homework in this life. As a king, how can I do something like homework? Chong Xiaoqian said confidently. What she hated the most was the old man assigning her homework. Furthermore, it was a huge pile of homework. Wasn't he interfering with her gaming? That's right. What do you mean by playing games all day? Do you know how difficult it is to play games? You're completely looking down on games and life. Hurry up and apologize to the game designer. Tan Menglu said angrily. Shut up. If you continue to talk, I'll cut off the internet for a week. Xiaoping glanced sideways and used his trump card. He naturally knew what was the most effective way to deal with these two internet addicts. Demon, are you a demon? You actually want to cut off our internet for a week? How can you say and do such a vicious thing? Hearing this, the originally arrogant Tan Menglu and Chong Xiaoqian immediately revealed an extremely terrified expression. It was as if Xiaoping had done something unforgivable. They could not take it even if the internet was cut off for a day. If it was really cut off for a week, they would probably go crazy. This kind of behavior could only be done by the legendary demons from hell. It was too despicable and shameless. They could not imagine a day without the internet. There was no meaning in living in this world at all. Chong Xiaoqian's cheeks puffed up in anger. As expected, she still had to overthrow this regent and become the master. Otherwise, she would never have a day of peace. He would control her all day and force her to do her homework. Master, I don't know why you're here, but why do you need my help? As long as you tell me, I will definitely do my best to help you. Tan Menglu immediately stepped forward with a face full of eagerness. She pinched Lin Fan's neck and legs. Oh, you can tell that I need you for something? Xiaoping had a comfortable expression. It was rare for Tan Menglu to be so obedient. I can't tell. But if Master needs any help, feel free to tell me. In order to prevent Xia Ping from cutting off her internet, Tan Menglu did her best to serve him, hoping to send this demon away as soon as possible. Otherwise, if she was cut off for a week, she would probably wish she was dead. It's like this. I need you to pretend to be someone. Xia Ping went straight to the point. After all, he could not waste too much time here. The battle outside could happen at any time. He had to settle this matter as soon as possible. I see. You want me to pretend to be Wu Wuti? This is too easy. Leave it all to me. Tan Menglu patted her chest confidently. Pretending to be someone was too easy. Moreover, she was proficient in the art of transformation. Although she could not achieve the shocking effect of the wishful wish mask, she could change her aura, body, and even soul. However, changing her body and appearance was still very easy. Dumbo, later on, you will personally take action. Send all the enemies flying, and snatch the world's origin. Xia Ping also came in front of Gaia, and instructed her. Yes, brother. Chapter 2017. At this moment, the starlight race, the radiant moon race, and the glorious sun race were cornered by the human race and the demon race. They were in a dilemma, and did not know what to do. They wanted to give up this large world. They had spent so much time and effort, but they were very reluctant to do so. They did not want to give up, but the human race and the demon race were too powerful. Although they did not have many people, the other side did not need to fight them to the death. As long as they could buy time, a large number of reinforcements would arrive. At that time, they would be like turtles in a jar with nowhere to hide. It could be said that if they did not run now, they would not be able to escape when the human race and the demon race's reinforcements arrived. They would not be able to control their own lives. Make your choice. I'll give you 1 minute to consider. Surrender or resist. Su Chong gave the final order, not giving them too much time to think. Boom. At that moment, with a thought from Xia Ping, he immediately released Dumbo and Tan Menglu. A spatial ripple appeared in the sky, and they immediately appeared in front of everyone. Who is it? Su Chong and the others were shocked. They did not expect that there would be another force lying in ambush at this time, and that they would even dare to appear here. They all looked up, and immediately saw a familiar figure. It was Wu Wuti, who had transformed from Tan Menglu. Wu Wuti. Su Chong could not help but cry out. He would recognize this guy even if he turned into ashes. He was a super demon from another universe. He did all kinds of evil and unscrupulous things. He even dared to kill people from the holy land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness. How could he not be frightened when such a vicious demon appeared in this place? He had no idea why this demon was here. Could it be that he also wanted to compete with them for this large world? Wu Wuti. Is he a peerless demon that suddenly appeared in the human race recently? Many demon kings were surprised. They were all demon kings from the central universe, so they naturally did not know much about what happened in other universes. After all, they were too far away to feel anything. But they had vaguely heard of the name Wu Wuti. It was said that when the creation map of heavens opened, this human demon brought great trouble to many demon kings and the disciples of the human race's holy land. But they did not know much about the specifics. Oh, you actually know me. I didn't expect me to be so famous in the universe. Tan Menglu, who was disguised as Wu Wuti, put his hands on his hips and laughed out loud. That's right. I'm the evil Wu Wuti who likes to bully the old, the young, the sick and the disabled. I'm filthy, despicable, shameless, thick-skinned. I can make a 3-year-old stop crying. I can accept any woman. And I like to cut off the internet. You guys are really unlucky today to have met such a heinous villain like me. You guys must have had 8 lifetimes of bad luck. It seems like your lifespan has come to an end today. Hearing this, Xia Ping's mouth twitched. Why did he feel that this guy was indirectly scolding the locust? Was he taking the opportunity to express his dissatisfaction in one go? Wu Wuti, what are you trying to do here? Su Chang's expression was ugly as he stared at Wu Wuti. And you're asking me what I want? Of course, I want to snatch the world's essence. Tan Menglu put his hands on his hips. This world's essence belongs to me. All of you scram. If you're late, I'll eat all of you. There won't even be a scrap left. Her body was filled with a fiendish aura that belonged to Tao Tai. This was the terrifying fiendish aura that came from the primordial 10 Furies. It instantly spread out for hundreds of millions of kilometers. At first, everyone thought that this kid was a joke, because they had never seen this human before, and did not know where he came from. But when they sensed this fiendish aura, all of their hairs stood on end and their bodies trembled. It was as if they had encountered the primordial 10 Furies and fallen into a wild world. Words could be faked, items could be faked, but this aura could not be faked. This guy in front of them was a true fiendish god, a peerless devil who had slaughtered countless living beings. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to have such an aura. Suddenly, everyone's expression turned serious. Woody, you're also a human. This is a large world discovered by us humans. If you're willing to help us, you can have a share. Su Chong rolled his eyes, wanting to rope Woody in. Scram! Tan Menglu said disdainfully. No one can snatch what I have my eyes on. My favorite thing to do is to eat everything for myself. Do you think you can share this world with me? Have you considered your own worth? You. Su Chong and the others had ugly expressions. They did not expect Woody to not give them face, and still want to take this world for himself. His appetite was simply boundless. Foolish human. You probably don't know what kind of existence you've offended. You're just one person, and yet you dare to be so arrogant. With so many of us demon kings here, we can tear you to pieces in an instant. Do you understand? Many demon kings did not like Woody. They felt that this human was too arrogant. In the face of so many enemies, he still dared to boast shamelessly and tell them to scram. Did he really think they were made of paper? Whoosh whoosh whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, more than a dozen demon kings attacked. Their figures flickered, and their speed was extremely fast. Like lightning, they carried a terrifying demonic aura as they attacked Tan Menglu. They wanted to tear this arrogant human to pieces in an instant. How dare this kid talk nonsense in front of them? Idiot, you good-for-nothings want to attack me? I don't even need to do anything to kill you. Dumbo attack. Tan Menglu was in high spirits. It felt good to bully others with power. Dumbo glanced at Tan Menglu. She felt that this person was going too far. However, this was her brother's order, so she did not say anything. Her figure flashed, and her pink fist punched out. Dong! The dozen or so demon kings did not know what was going on. They did not even see how Dumbo attacked. They only knew that they had been punched in the face. Following that, their heads were twisted and deformed. Blood flowed out of their orifices. The powerful demon kings' bodies flew out like cannonballs, exceeding 100 times the speed of sound. Bang bang bang. In the next second, these demon kings were sent flying thousands of kilometers. Finally, they smashed into the mountains, creating shocking craters. Gravel flew everywhere. Even the internal organs of these demon kings were severely injured. They could not help but cough up blood. How is this possible? All the demon kings were stunned. They could not believe their eyes. The arrogant Woody did not make a move, but the little girl beside him did. However, the moment she made a move, more than a dozen demon kings were sent flying like chickens. They could not resist at all. Chapter 2018. Damn it, who the hell is this little girl? Why is she so powerful? Are all the people around Woody monsters? Even a random little girl is so freakish. No matter who she is, as long as she hasn't reached the Saint Realm, we have a chance to defeat her. That's right. Everyone, let's kill her together. Many of the monster kings gritted their teeth. More than a dozen monster kings were sent flying at the same time. This was indeed shocking, but it was impossible for them to back down. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, thousands of monster kings also attacked one after another, displaying their bloodline magic. Suddenly, these magic condensed into a heaven-earth formation, covering a radius of tens of millions of kilometers. Like falling stars, they razed the world to the ground. This power was so strong that it seemed to be able to blast everything into powder. Attack! A cold light flashed in Su Chang's eyes, and he immediately ordered the disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu to attack. He knew how terrifying Wu Wuti was. That guy was a real monster. And no one knew how many trump cards he had. It could be said that they had to kill Wu Wuti now, or they would all be finished. In an instant, these disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu attacked one after another, taking out their magic treasures, such as swords, spears, gourds, drums, and so on. There were all kinds of magic treasures, but without exception, they were all extremely powerful and horrifying. The magic treasures bombarded down like thousands of cannonballs at the same time, completely covering the area. Crazy, they're all crazy. The Starlight Clan, the Radiant Moon Clan, and the Glorious Sun Clan did not attack. They were simply stunned. The Monster Clan and the Human Clan had given up on attacking them, and turned to attack the human, who had suddenly appeared. In other words, in the eyes of the other party, the human was a greater threat than the three major clans. To be honest, they could not accept this fact. They had really underestimated the human. At this moment, little Dumbo attacked again. She was expressionless and only spat out 2 words. Wind disaster. Whoosh, she gently breathed out, and suddenly stirred up a storm in the sky. It was as if she had breathed out a spatial storm, blowing up the connate astral wind. The wind howled like a fierce beast. Woo 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 woo. With Dumbo's body as the center, a boundless congenital storm was set off. The north wind blew like the breath of a doomsday dragon, from far to near, destroying everything in its path. The so-called rocks, soil, trees, and even mountains and rivers were all blown away. Nothing could resist this apocalyptic storm. The first to bear the brunt were the 10,000 demon kings. When their bloodline divine abilities neared the doomsday storm, they were instantly destroyed. It was as though just the wind pressure was enough to crush these divine abilities into powder. Not good. Retreat, retreat quickly. The expressions of all the monster kings changed drastically. They felt their hairs stand on end, as if they had fallen into an icy cave. It was as if they had encountered a natural disaster. This wasn't a power that ordinary people could withstand. But how could they outrun this innate storm? In an instant, they were blown away by the storm. They were like candles in the wind, unable to resist at all. Bang bang bang. In the blink of an eye, they were sent flying like stones and smashed into the ground in all directions, forcefully smashing out a huge pit and sending gravel flying in all directions. Fire! Dumbo glanced at the disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu, squinted at them, and spat out another word. Bang bang bang. In an instant, supervolcanoes immediately emerged within a radius of 1,000 miles, rising from the ground and spewing terrible flames. This was like the doomsday dragon flame, burning everything, dyeing the sky black and thick smoke everywhere. Su Chong and the others did not expect such a thing to happen. Suddenly, they were surrounded by flames that rose into the sky. Their whole bodies were roasted, and their magic treasures melted under the terrible flames. The terrifying flames even penetrated their pores, causing the magic power and souls in their bodies to start burning. Damn it! The power of disaster of this flame can burn magic power and souls. We can't resist it. Retreat quickly. Su Chang's expression changed drastically. He immediately recognized that this was not an ordinary flame, but the fire of disaster, containing a terrible power of disaster. He kept retreating, shouting loudly, but he didn't need to remind them. The disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu were all smart people. Seeing that the situation was not good, they simply ran faster than anyone else and quickly retreated. But even so, they were still very embarrassed. Their hair was completely burned, and they were all bald. Some unlucky ones had their magic treasures burned, suffering heavy losses. Impossible. This is the magical power of the 3 disasters and 9 disasters. It is the unique bloodline magical power of the strongest race, Gaia. How can you know? Are you Gaia? Su Chong was suddenly shocked. He looked at little dummy in horror, and immediately realized who she was. The 3 disasters and 9 disasters. This was the unique disaster magical power of the Gaia race. It could control all the power of disasters in the world, and be indestructible. Often when they were angry, disasters would occur frequently in the world, turning it into doomsday. It was as if the heavenly Tao was angry, overturning the world and destroying everything. What? This is Gaia. Many monster kings looked at little dummy in horror. No wonder this little girl was so powerful. She could defeat tens of thousands of monster kings with a wave of her hand and control the power of the 3 disasters and 9 disasters. It turned out to be the legendary strongest race, Gaia. Rumor had it that Gaia was born to be a saint. When they grew up, they would become a saint. They had infinite potential and were one of the top races in the universe. All races were afraid of the Gaia race. However, there were too few Gaia. They were so rare that even a Thunder Tribulation realm mighty figure might not have seen one even once after living for tens of thousands of years. This was a legendary race. Some people said that this might be a terrifying race that walked out of the dark forbidden zone. However, there was too little information about Gaia. All the mighty figures who knew about this race were afraid of it, as if there was a taboo. But at this moment, they actually saw the real Gaia in this place. Furthermore, it was a Gaia that had not yet grown up. This was really unbelievable. Wu Wuti, how did you find this Gaia? Su Chang's expression changed as he stared at Wu Wuti. This was because Gaia was beside Wu Wuti and seemed to be Wu Wuti's subordinate. This fact was even more shocking. This Wu Wuti was already very difficult to deal with. Now, he even had Gaia as his subordinate. Fuck, wouldn't this be too much? When he grew up, wouldn't he be no match for even a saint? He would be lawless. At this moment, he finally felt the threat of Wu Wuti. It was as if there was a dagger at his back. Haha, foolish commoners. You good-for-nothings don't even need me to do anything. Just Gaia alone is enough to destroy all of you. Gaia, go and eat all of these good-for-nothings. Tan Menglu was pleased with herself. She placed her hands on her hips and used Wu Wuti's might. Chapter 2019. Chance. Xiaoping's eyes lit up when he saw that everyone was intimidated and didn't dare to move. He charged forward alone. Haha, so it's the famous Gaia. I've been looking for an opponent like you for too long. I'd like to see what the legendary Gaia is capable of. Let's have a battle. Whoosh. He strode forward and arrived in front of Dumbo in an instant under everyone's gaze. At the same time, he used his divine sense to ask Dumbo to send him flying. That way, he could leave everyone's sight without anyone noticing. Dong. Hearing that, Dumbo immediately attacked and punched Xiaoping lightly. In the next second, Xiaoping's body was sent flying thousands of kilometers away without any resistance. He disappeared from everyone's sight like a meteor, passing through hundreds of mountains and vanishing. This, Su Chang and the others' mouths twitched. They couldn't understand what the Starlight race was thinking. Didn't he see that so many demon kings were no match for Gaia? Now he still dared to charge forward alone. The result was obvious. He was instantly sent flying, and no one knew if he was dead or alive. Is this Starlight race warrior an idiot? Can't he tell the difference in strength between them? He must have been in the mystic zone for too long. His brain must have gone numb. That's quite impressive. He even said that he had been looking for an opponent for too long. I didn't expect him to be sent flying with a single punch. There are too many idiots who can't see their own strength. He thinks he can fight Gaia. What a joke. Many demon kings looked down on Xiaoping, who was sent flying. They felt that this guy was purely out to be a joke. He really didn't know his own strength to think he could fight Gaia. Oh no, Brother Invincible was sent flying by Gaia. Sigh, Brother Invincible's strength is indeed not bad. I can see that. But compared to the universe's strongest race, Gaia, there's still a certain gap. Indeed, but Brother Invincible should be fine. With his strength, even if he was sent flying, he shouldn't be beaten to death. We don't have to worry too much. Many warriors of the Starlight race didn't expect this to happen. That incomparably ferocious and invincible being was sent flying by a single punch from Gaia. But on second thought, the other party was the famous Gaia race. So it was understandable. The warriors of the Radiant Moon race and the Glorious Sun race were rejoicing in his misfortune. Who asked this brat to show off? He wanted to fight, but now he was sent flying by Gaia in an instant, losing all face. Gaia had really helped them vent their anger. Demon King, let's join forces. You've seen the current situation. At this moment, Su Chang sent a voice transmission to the Demon King leaders. If this continues, we will definitely be defeated one by one. When that happens, Gaia will snatch away the world's natural source. We won't be able to obtain any benefits, and we won't be able to last until reinforcements arrive. Only by joining forces will we have a chance of survival. In order to obtain this large world and stall for time, he decided to join forces with these demon kings. Even though the human clan and the demon clan were hostile races, when faced with a stronger enemy, they would put aside their prejudices and join forces to fight. No problem. The demon king leader thought about it and agreed. He was not a fool and naturally knew that Gaia had the upper hand. If they still fought amongst themselves, it would definitely benefit Wuxia and Gaia. It would not be too late to fight for this large world after chasing Gaia and Wuxia out or stalling for time. Let's do it. We'll attack from both sides. I don't believe that Gaia is really invincible. Su Chang's eyes lit up. A powerful aura emanated from his body, causing the void to tremble. He grabbed with his hand and immediately took out a magic treasure. It was a medial-grade sacred artifact, the 9-dragon treasure mirror. This mirror was bronze in color, as if it was cast from bronze. 9 dragon heads were engraved on it. They were vivid and lifelike, as if they were real dragons that had come to life. In fact, this was a medial-grade sacred artifact that a human sage had killed 9 real dragons and poured their dragon blood and dragon souls on the mirror. Finally, it was smelted into a medial-grade sacred artifact. This medial-grade sacred artifact was also found by Su Chang in the ruins of an ancient great power. Once it was used, it was like the 9 real dragons had come to life, and its power was infinite. However, the power of a medial-grade sacred artifact was too great. It was very difficult for him to use a medial-grade sacred artifact alone. He estimated that he would be sucked dry in a few breaths. However, there were many disciples from the Holy Land of Taichu around him, who could use it together to reduce the pressure. In an instant, many human masters around him poured their magic power into this medial-grade sacred artifact. The magic power surged like the sea. Rumble immediately, the bronze mirror vibrated and buzzed. The 9 dragon heads on the mirror seemed to come to life. They opened their eyes and emitted a terrifying dragon's might that covered a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers. Kill! Su Chang shouted angrily. He operated the magic power in his body and controlled this medial-grade sacred artifact to attack Dumbo. Whoosh! 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 The 9 bronze dragons flew out from the depths of the mirror world and let out earth-shattering roars. Even the void seemed to be distorted, and waves of spatial ripples appeared in the space. Deafening dragon roars came from hundreds of millions of kilometers away, tearing the earth and turning the world upside down. Do it! A cold light flashed in the eyes of the Monster King leader. He shouted and immediately took out a magic weapon from his body. It was also a medial-grade sacred artifact, the Een Wind 8 Trigrams banner. This Een Wind 8 Trigrams banner was black and seemed to contain densely packed ghosts. It was unfathomably deep like an abyss, exuding a terrible demon chi. This was a terrible magic weapon, refined by the saint of the monster clan from a secret realm in the mystic zone. He collected the evil earth wind and smelted rare materials, such as the 8 trigrams, the 5 elements and yin and yang. Once this Een Wind 8 Trigrams banner was waved, it could immediately summon the evil earth wind, which could corrode souls and bones. Even magic weapons could not withstand this wind, and would be corroded into a pile of residue in an instant. It could be said that this magic weapon was extremely vicious. It could be regarded as a magic weapon of the demonic path, which killed people like flies. Many monster kings also made their moves. They were scattered in different places, and poured their own demon power into the Een Wind 8 Trigrams banner, completely activating the internal formation of this medial-grade sacred artifact. Whoosh! The Een Wind 8 Trigrams banner swayed gently. Suddenly, there was a burst of demonic wind, and a whistling sound came from hundreds of millions of kilometers away. It seemed to communicate with the dimension of wind, and absorb the evil earth chi. Dense black holes appeared in the void in all directions, and masses of airflow gushed out from these dimensional spaces, gathering together and impressively forming a storm. Chapter 2020. Is this the power of the top clans? They can easily use 2 mid-grade sacred weapons. The warriors of the Starlight race, the Glorious Sun race, and the Radiant Moon race all had goosebumps and were terrified. If the 2 mid-grade sacred weapons had been used against them, they would not have been able to resist for long. They reckoned that they would not be able to hold out for long before they were quickly annihilated by the 2 races. It was no wonder that the 2 races had been so arrogant and looked down on them. Facing such power, they could only watch from the sidelines and could not participate. 3 disasters and 9 disasters. Dumbo was still expressionless. He said a few words and waved his little hand. Boom. Suddenly, the world turned dark as if the end of the world had come. The sky split open and thousands of void cracks appeared. Countless dark clouds surged out from the depths of the cracks and shrouded the world. Wind disaster, flood disaster, fire disaster. In an instant, the 3 disasters broke out at the same time, containing earth-shattering power that could destroy the world. The storm roared. In the air, the wind howled and turned into thousands of tornadoes, spinning wildly. They contained the terrible power of disaster and swept everything. Anything that stood in the way of the storm would be destroyed. Each of the tornadoes produced wind blades that were indestructible and incomparably sharp. Even a defensive artifact of the level of a peerless spirit weapon would be sliced into pieces in an instant. If anyone dared to stand in the way of the storm, they would be torn into pieces in an instant, leaving nothing behind. This was the power of the astral wind, like the sharp blades of sword chi from countless peerless swordsmen. The rain poured down. Countless raindrops fell from the sky. But this was not ordinary water. It was first yuan heavy water. Every drop of water was a special water in the world, containing a terrible gravity. When a drop of water fell on the ground, it was like a meteorite crashing down with terrible power. If a person was in the first yuan heavy water, they would not be able to float at all. When the rain reached a certain level, it would completely drown the world. No living creature could survive. Volcanoes erupted. One after another, volcanoes rose from the ground. They seemed to be communicating with the mantle of the world, absorbing the endless magma from the depths of the earth. Huge flames erupted from the volcanoes. These were not ordinary flames. They were the earth core fire, a terrible flame that came from the depths of the world's core and could melt everything quickly. At the same time, they were also the fire of disaster, containing a huge power of disaster. Bang bang bang. Tens of thousands of volcanoes erupted, and a large amount of lava gushed out, turning into rivers of lava that raised everything within a radius of 10 million kilometers to the ground. The power of the 3 calamities and 9 tribulations was completely unleashed. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. This power clashed with the 9-dragon treasured mirror and the Wind 8 trigrams banner. Rumble, in midair, there was a series of earth-shattering explosions. The void was torn apart, as if a planet had exploded. Countless balls of yuan chi were torn apart, the ground collapsed, and the world was turned upside down. Bang! The 9 bronze dragons were unable to withstand this shockwave, and were all sent flying. Su Chong and the others also felt a powerful gale that felt like their bodies were about to be torn apart, and they could not help but retreat. It was the same for the demon monarchs. The earthly baleful winds and the Khanate storm cancelled each other out, like 2 teams of elite soldiers fighting each other and dying together. The storm that erupted in the surroundings also sent the group of demon kings flying. The demon monarch leader almost lost his grip on the Wind 8 trigrams banner in his hand. It was the same for little Dumbo. She was evenly matched with the 2 major forces, but her physique was extremely strong. These collisions alone could not hurt her at all. Oh my god, Gaia is really too strong. She can actually withstand the joint attack of the human race and the demon race. What a monster. She is only a minor. Oh my god. How terrifying will she be when she is an adult? Didn't I tell you earlier? She will be a sage when she is an adult. Fuck, we can't compare. We can't compare at all. She will be a sage when she is an adult. Why is the gap between us so big? The warriors of the Starlight race, the Radiant Moon race, and the Glorious Sun race were completely shocked when they saw this scene. They finally knew what it meant to be the strongest person below the sage. There was no doubt that Gaia deserved this title. She did not have any treasures on her, but she could withstand the sacred weapons alone. She was simply a monster. Damn it, is Gaia really that powerful? So many of us have joined forces and used 2 wind 8 trigrams, and yet we still can't crush her. We are still evenly matched? Some people could not believe it. After all, it is one of the strongest races in the universe. Gaia may not appear even once in a billion years. They are natural-born sages. Fortunately, she is still a minor. If she is an adult, none of us will be able to escape. We will die with just a breath, Su Chong said in a deep voice. He was also prepared for such a thing. No matter how powerful she is just one person. We have many demons and strong magical powers. If we fight, she will definitely not be able to wear us down. When her magical powers are used up, it will be the time of her death. The eyes of the Demon King leader flickered, revealing a glimmer of light. It had already calculated everything. Now that it was not defeated, it was actually considered a victory for them. As long as they could stop Gaia from obtaining the world's origin in a short period of time, their mission would be considered completed, because in another day, their reinforcements would arrive quickly, and even the sages might accompany them. At that time, if Gaia did not run away, she would definitely be captured, and there would be no escape. Whoosh! At this moment Xiaoping, who had been sent flying by little Dumbo, quietly returned. He used the formless mask to hide his aura, so no one could discover his whereabouts. It's time. A glimmer of light appeared in Xiaoping's eyes. He had not made a move, even when he saw little Dumbo being besieged by 2 forces, because he believed in little Dumbo's strength. Even if he could not win, he would not die. And now, he had finally waited for the opportunity to make a move. The eyes of the humans, demons, starlight race, radiant moon race, glorious sun race, and other races were all focused on little Dumbo and Tanmenglu. Who would have thought that there was an even more terrifying enemy lying in ambush here? At this time, the vigilance of the demons and humans had dropped to the lowest level. If they launched a sneak attack now, they believed that this group of people would not have any defense. True solution of illusion, one thought, one world. Rumble, in an instant, a powerful wave of divine sense immediately gushed out from Xiaoping's body, covering a radius of more than 100 million kilometers in an instant. It was silent, and it nourished everything silently. The power of this divine sense was at least 10 times stronger than when he first entered the holy land of Taichu, because he had advanced to the Thunder Tribulation realm and broken through the martial arts realm. His magical power and divine sense had both improved by leaps and bounds. It was not something that he could compare with before. Chapter 2021. While all with a thought, Xiaoping circulated the true insight of illusions. In the depths of the void, a huge amount of mental energy trembled and rapidly condensed into millions of illusion runes. They seemed to be formed by mental energy, invisible and formless. After advancing to the lightning tribulation realm, he had gained a deeper understanding of the spatial quintessence of illusory arts, allowing him to form an illusory seed. It could seep into an enemy's sea of consciousness and silently pull them into an illusory realm. This was also like a parasite, deeply rooted and undetectable by others. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, these illusion runes descended from the void. They silently merged into the bodies of Su Chong and the others, including those from the Starlight race, Radiant Moon race, and Glorious Sun race. Boom! At this moment, Su Chong and the others were stunned. They stood on the ground in a daze, unable to move. Immediately, they fell into an illusion. Their souls were pulled into a world of illusion. It was as if the whole world had come to a standstill. Why are they all standing there in a daze? Seeing Xiaoping jump out, Tanmenglu stopped pretending. She soon discovered that everyone present was dumbfounded. They had turned into fools, and were standing there motionlessly. She knew that Xiaoping must have done something. Otherwise, he wouldn't have discovered such an unimaginable thing. They have fallen into my illusion. They probably won't wake up for a long time. Xiaoping smiled faintly, At this moment, Su Chong and the others were still in the illusion. They thought that they were in a bitter battle with Gaia. Both sides were evenly matched, and the battle was very intense. However, they didn't panic. In fact, they might even be a little happy, hoping to continue fighting until reinforcements arrived. Little did they know that they were all in the illusion. The so-called stalling for time was just a beautiful dream. Really? Won't they wake up? Tan Menglu walked forward curiously. She came before this group of people and poked them with a wooden stick. She even made faces in front of them. However, this group of people remained indifferent. Immediately, she became even more interested. She wanted to punch this group of people to see if they could wake up. Don't move. What if they really wake up? There's nothing for you here. Go back. Before Tan Menglu could make a move, Xia Ping lifted Tan Menglu up and made her struggle in the air, as if he was carrying a small animal. He said in a bad mood. Although he was very confident in his illusions, with such a punch, even a pig would wake up from the illusion. This was simply troublesome. He waved his hand and immediately threw the troublesome Tan Menglu back into the space of the pearl of mountains and rivers. Little Dumbo, let's snatch away the source of this world, and then we'll leave. Xia Ping looked at Little Dumbo and told her to seize the world's origin immediately. Although they were temporarily under his control, in order to prevent other enemies from arriving, it was better to seize the world's origin as soon as possible. Once he obtained the world's origin, he would be able to advance and retreat as he pleased. Yes, brother. Dumbo nodded. Without hesitation, she took action immediately and flew toward the world's origin. At this time, no one could stop her. Even if some powerful elemental monsters appeared, it was useless. They were blown away by her punch and turned into ashes. Not long after, she arrived in front of the world's source energy. This was a massive fireball that gave off scorching heat. It was like a sun, containing boundless kinetic energy. Boom! She waved her hand gently and suddenly, a huge void crack appeared in front of her. This crack was connected to the space inside Gaia's body and produced a terrifying devouring power. Suddenly, the sun-like world's origin moved. It could not resist such a devouring power and moved toward the void crack bit by bit. The surrounding void trembled. After a few minutes, the world's origin was completely devoured by Little Dumbo. When the world's origin disappeared, the entire large world suddenly underwent earth-shattering changes. The sky, the earth, and the sea were all completely cracked. Thousands of void cracks appeared. It was extremely terrifying and stretched for hundreds of billions of kilometers. It was as if the large world was about to collapse. In fact, without the world's origin, the large world would become complete ruins. It would completely collapse after a long time. At the end of the world, everything would decay. Fortunately, this was just a newborn world. If it was a mature world, who knew how many people would die? Brother, I did it. After devouring the world's origin, Little Dumbo returned. She had a rare expression of excitement on her face. It was as if she could not wait to go back and completely refine the world's origin. Go back. Xia Ping waved his hand and sent Little Dumbo back to the space of the Pearl of Mountain River for her to slowly refine. After Little Dumbo and Tan Menglu left, only he, Su Chong, and the others were left in this collapsing world. Let's collect some interest first. Xia Ping touched his chin and immediately took away all the space treasures from Su Chong and the others. They were unconscious, so they did not resist at all. Mine. They're all mine. The saint items are also mine. Xia Ping was very excited. He took out Su Chang's mid-tier saint item, the 9-dragon treasure mirror, and the 8 trigrams banner from the demons. It seemed that Su Chang also had a saint item, the boat of the void. It could hide one's aura, and was also a good treasure. He took them all. Of course, these saint items were also things that had been refined. They were naturally unwilling to be taken away just like that. But under the hell golden crow fire, these saint items could not resist even if they wanted to. After a few breaths, their spiritual connection with their respective owners was severed. But this way, because the spiritual connection was severed, the minds of Su Chong and the others, as well as some of the Yao Kings, were severely injured. The terrifying attack woke them up from the illusion, With a puff, Su Chong and the others could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. They looked around in confusion, not knowing what had happened. Go back to sleep. Before anything happened to Su Chong and the others, Xia Ping attacked again. He used a hand knife and knocked them out one by one. Done. Half an hour later, Xia Ping had already looted all the treasures on Su Chong and the others, leaving them clean. He reckoned that there was no one else who was poorer than them. After doing all this, he was satisfied. He knew that he had really struck it rich this time. Not only had he obtained the world's origin, but he had also obtained 2 or 3 mid-tier saint items, as well as many other Dharma treasures, medicinal pills, and spirit medicines. He had become rich overnight. When these people woke up, they would probably cry. Whoosh! After looting all the treasures, Xia Ping did not hesitate. He immediately steered the stars and quickly left this large world. Chapter 2022. What's going on? Weren't we fighting Wu Wuti and Gaia just now? Where did they go? Someone woke up and immediately realized that the situation was different. Before this, they were clearly still engaged in an intense battle with Wu Wuti and Gaia. It had been going on for 3 days and 3 nights, and reinforcements were about to arrive. But just as they were about to win, the entire world shattered like glass, and the world turned upside down. Then they appeared in another unfamiliar place. They were all a little confused, and did not know what had happened. This was because the illusion was too realistic, and they did not have any doubts at all. That's not right. Hasn't it been 3 days and 3 nights? Why has the communication device only shown that a few hours have passed? Someone suddenly shouted, realizing that his communication device showed that only a few hours had passed. But they had clearly fought Wu Wuti for 3 days and 3 nights, and it was extremely intense. How could only a few hours have passed? He could not believe such a fact. Hearing this, everyone took out their communication devices and saw the time on them. Their expressions changed drastically, as if they had fallen into an ice cave. They found it hard to believe. Illusion, we were all in Wu Wuti's illusion. Su Chang's expression was very ugly. That illusion was too realistic. None of us could find any flaws in it. We even mistakenly thought that we were fighting Wu Wuti. Damn it, we were all fooled. He could not help but clench his fists. He had never experienced something like this before. They had fought hard for 3 days and 3 nights, but it was just an illusion. It was too vexing. Didn't that mean they had been fooled? After fighting for so long, they were only fighting against the air. What kind of illusion was this? How could it be so terrifying? As long as Wu Wuti was willing, he could easily slaughter all of them without leaving a single person alive. Suddenly, an uncontrollable chill surged in their hearts. Wait, where did my Dharma treasure, my mediograde sacred artifact Wind 8 trigrams banner go? Why did it disappear? Even my mental connection with it has been severed. At this moment, the demon clan leader's expression changed drastically. He could not help but scream. He discovered that the mediograde sacred artifact, Wind 8 trigrams banner, that he had painstakingly obtained had disappeared. No matter how he searched, he could not find a trace of it. Moreover, it also discovered that its mental connection with the Wind 8 trigrams banner had been completely severed. This was like a bolt from the blue. It meant that it had completely lost this mid-grade saint artifact. My 9 dragon treasured mirror and the voivode are gone too. They've all disappeared. My mother, my space ring, and all my pills and medicines are gone. Which bastard stole my treasures? Su Chong roared at the sky. He had also discovered that his mid-quality saint artifact was gone. His body was completely bare, without even a strand of hair. Right now he was practically a pauper. Heavens! The magic treasures on me are gone as well. Not a single one is left. What happened to my medicinal pills? Where did my bottles of heavenly mending pills go? I spent a lot of time and resources to exchange for them, but now they're all gone. Wu Wuti, it must be that bitch Wu Wuti. Other than him, no one would do such a wicked thing. That damned Wu Wuti actually stole all our treasures. He's not human at all. He's a beast. It's over. It's all over. My savings of thousands of years are all gone. Even if I went gambling and went bankrupt, I wouldn't be this miserable. Everyone wailed. They discovered that all their treasures had been taken away. Not even a strand of hair was left. That bastard Wu Wuti was extremely greedy. It didn't matter if they were treasures or not. He would take them all. He was basically scraping the ground and plucking the feathers from the geese. Of course, the most miserable ones were Su Chong and the leader of the fiend race. They had lost a few mid-quality saint artifacts. Even the combined treasures of everyone else couldn't compare to their losses. One could imagine how Su Chong and the others were feeling right now. They even wanted to kill. They wanted nothing more than to tear that bitch Wu Wuti to pieces and make him spit out all his treasures. Wait, the source energy of this large world has disappeared as well. The entire world is about to collapse. Someone suddenly discovered that the world was on the verge of destruction. There were spatial cracks everywhere, as if the world was about to fall apart. There was a destructive aura everywhere. Bastard, I knew it was that guy who did it. He actually stole the entire world's source energy. How could he do such a thing? He's too wicked. We've suffered a double loss. Not only did we not obtain this large world, but we also lost so many treasures. Wu Wuti and I are irreconcilable. I'll never forgive him for the rest of my life. What do we do now? This large world is about to collapse. The power of its explosion is not to be underestimated. Let's run. If we don't, we'll all die in this large world. Everyone's expressions were very solemn. They could sense that this world was on the verge of destruction. It was estimated that in a few hours, the entire large world would completely collapse, exploding like a star. If they did not escape by then, they would all die. Thinking of this, they did not dare to hesitate. They did not care about cursing Wu Wuti. They just wanted to escape this dangerous place as soon as possible, lest they die in this natural disaster. Swoosh, swoosh. The experts of the human race and monster race quickly left, boarding their own ships and leaving this world. Starlight Race, Glorious Sun Race, and Radiant Moon Race saw this situation and did not have the mood to fight among themselves. After all, the world was about to collapse. Destruction, explosion. Such power was no joke. If they did not leave as soon as possible, they would all die. Where is Xing Wuti? Where did he go? Why haven't I seen any traces of him? Starlight Race's Xing Yongming did not find any traces of Xing Wuti. He looked everywhere, but could not find any traces of him. He's already gone. Xing Rongmu said. He left a note beside me, saying that after this battle, he realized how weak he was and decided to continue wandering, looking for a chance to defeat Gaia. So he directly boarded a ship and left. No way. This kind of strength is considered weak. Brother Wuti is too humble. This is an expert. He never stops and pursues even greater strength. That's why he's so strong. Since it's Brother Wuti's decision, we won't say much. Let's hurry up and leave. That's right. This time I've learned something new. Although we suffered heavy losses and lost many treasures, I did not expect there to be such a terrifying enemy in the universe. Chapter 2023. A few hours later, the newly born large world completely collapsed. Su Chong and the others looked bitter. They had really suffered a great loss this time. Not only did they not get any benefits, but they also lost so many treasures, all of which benefited Wu Wuti. They even had to apologize to the reinforcements, saying that they were useless and had allowed the enemy to take away the origin of the world. After this incident, their hatred for Wu Wuti reached new heights. All of them swore to take revenge and find the whereabouts of that despicable Wu Wuti. The news quickly spread throughout the central universe and was known by countless people. First, it caused an uproar in the holy land of Taichu and Palace of Darkness. Many of them had encountered Wu Wuti in the heavenly fortune map and suffered great losses, so the bastard was still fresh in their memories. Fuck, Wu Wuti actually came to the central cosmos to cause trouble, and he's so arrogant too. He even stole the origin of a large world. Doesn't he know that destroying a world in the central cosmos is a serious crime? Someone cursed. They didn't expect Wu Wuti to dare come to the central universe. His guts were boundless. He didn't just steal the source energy of the world. Even Su Chang's mid-grade saint artifact, the 9-dragon treasured mirror, and the void boat were stolen by this kid. He even stole the demon clan's Wind 8 trigrams banner. Someone knew some inside information. That's not all. This time, that kid didn't just offend Su Chang and the others. Even the Starlight race, the Glorious Sun race, and the Radiant Moon race from the Mystic Zones were all killed by him. Even the demon sealing tombstone was stolen by him. Someone sighed. Motherfucker. It's one thing for this brat to burn, kill, and pillage in other universes. But he actually dares to cause trouble in the Central Universe? Doesn't this bastard know that this place is filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons? Many disciples from the Holy Land of Taichu and Palace of Darkness gnashed their teeth. If he was in other universes, it would be fine. They couldn't do anything about it anyway. But it was different now. He had come to the Central Universe so brazenly. This was practically an invasion. How could they tolerate this? Of course he can be arrogant. It's said that a Gaia appeared by his side and became his loyal fighter. I'm afraid his arrogance is boundless. How is this possible? Gaia? Could it be the legendary Gaia, who would become a saint upon adulthood? This is a peak-level race that is elusive and elusive. How could that kid encounter one? That's right. Even if he encountered it, with the Gaia clan's strength, how can that punk tame it? It's true. Su Chang and the others saw it with their own eyes. The other party used the 3 calamities and 9 disasters, and reached the pinnacle of the lightning tribulation realm. It seems like he's just a step away from becoming a sage. With Gaia's talent, he will definitely become a saint. Heavens, if that's the case, doesn't that mean that Wu Wuti has a saint-level fighter by his side, who can do anything to him? Isn't that right? If this matter comes true, this brat will definitely be out of control. No wonder the major worlds can be destroyed just like that. They don't care about this crime at all. Bullshit. He has offended so many people. So what if he has Guya's support? Just wait and see. Sooner or later, he will be out of luck. There are already saints who want to personally capture Wu Wuti. It can't be. This matter actually caused a saint to take action? It's all Gaia's fault. Many saints want to capture Gaia, who is still a minor. I see. It seems that Wu Wuti is out of luck. If he wants to do as he pleases in the Central Universe, he should first consider how qualified he is. He really overestimates himself. Everyone discussed animatedly. They all felt that the arrogant Wu Wuti would probably be captured soon. This time, even a saint had been alerted. That kid was done for. At that moment, in a certain sacred land among the demons, many demon saints had gathered together. The atmosphere was solemn. Damn it, this mid-grade saint artifact, the Wind 8 trigrams banner, was actually lost. Don't you know that this saint artifact is very useful to us demons? Now that it's gone, what punishment do you have? A demon saint cursed loudly, blaming the demon kings for their incompetence. Not only had they not obtained the major worlds and delayed the arrival of reinforcements, but they had even lost the mid-grade saint artifact, the Wind 8 trigrams banner. They had completely embarrassed the demons. The demon saint's face was extremely dark. The group of demon kings all lowered their heads, their faces red. They did not even dare to breathe loudly, afraid that they would anger the demon saint and be smashed to dust with a single palm strike. If that happened, no one would be able to save them, and there would be no one to reason with. Forget it, we can't blame them. At that moment, a demon saint waved his hand, his eyes shining. The other party is a monster of the human race with unparalleled combat strength. He even has Gaia with him. This combat strength is extraordinary. It's not something that ordinary people can handle. He felt that there was a reason for the Demon King's failure. After all, Gaia and Wu Wuti's power was not to be underestimated. They could easily defeat experts of the same level. Damn it, why are there so many monsters in the human race? If they continue to grow, the human will definitely become a saint. And with Gaia by his side, it's not as simple as 1 + 1. The human race's strength will definitely multiply, a demon saint said fearfully, clenching his fists. Although Gaia was still underage and had not reached the saint realm, everyone knew that Gaia would definitely become a saint. No one doubted that he would definitely become a terrifying force in the future. Moreover, this force was in the hands of the human race, which made the demon saints feel even more uneasy. That might not be the case. I heard that Wu Wuti is a wanted criminal of the human race. He might not increase the strength of the human race. A demon saint said, "Bullshit. Even if he is a wanted criminal, a human is a human. At the critical moment, he will choose the human race and not the demon race. If we don't deal with such a monster of the demon race, he will definitely become a disaster in the future." That's right. A strategic force like Gaia should not fall into the hands of the human race. Otherwise, we will definitely face an unimaginable combat strength in the future. The demon race will suffer heavy losses. We must find that Wu Wuti and snatch that underage Gaia. Otherwise, when Gaia advances to the Saint Realm, it will not be so easy to deal with him. That's right. Then that middle-grade saint artifact, the Wind 8 Trigrams banner, cannot fall into the hands of the human race. Immediately activate the demon race's forces and conduct a carpet search. Find Wu Wuti's whereabouts. The demon saints immediately made a decision to find Wu Wuti and snatch all the saint artifacts from him. Gaia should also be a force that belonged to the demon race. Chapter 2024. Central Universe, Ordinary Area. The Multitude Star was cruising quietly in a boundless universe. The surrounding space storms were blasting everywhere, but the Multitude Star was safe and sound, like a boulder in the turbulence. At the same time, it also turned on the concealment system and merged with the surrounding void silently. Even if other Saint-class spaceships passed by, they would not be able to find it. At this moment, Xiaoping came to the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. He was observing Dumbo's refining of the world's origin. He was very interested in the process of Dumbo's advancement to the Saint Realm. If he could see the process, it would definitely be of great benefit to his advancement to the Saint Realm. Beep! At this time, the system's voice sounded. "Congratulations, host. You have attracted a lot of hatred from the demon race, human race, radiant moon race, and other races. This time, you have obtained 20 hatred crystals." Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. With these 20 hatred crystals, he now had a total of 600 hatred crystals. He was not far from 1,000 hatred crystals. However, this was just a small matter. The most important thing was Dumbo's current evolution. After devouring a large amount of world's origin, Dumbo was refining it crazily. Waves of energy from the world's origin fused into Gaia's limbs and bones, spreading to every corner. Her aura was increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. One had to know that this was the origin of a large world. The energy contained was simply unimaginable. Even tens of thousands of Thunder Retribution Realm powerhouses would probably explode after devouring this energy. Only a special cosmic life form like Gaia could safely devour the origin of a large world and make up for the lack of origin in her body. Because Xiaoping and Dumbo had signed a contract, they shared life and death, and their souls were fused. Therefore, he could easily sense Dumbo's current situation. Her body and soul had undergone earth-shattering changes. The huge energy of the world's origin surged into Dumbo's body like seawater, quickly filling up the origin energy that she originally lacked, and reaching the realm of perfection. It could be said that devouring the world's origin allowed her to increase her magical power by billions of years. It was equivalent to walking on a journey of countless years in advance. She grew faster than other Gaia. The space in her body was also rapidly expanding. In just an hour, it had expanded 10 times. Boom! After an unknown period of time, when the world's origin was completely devoured by Dumbo, her essence, chi, and spirit almost reached the peak. Her spirit entered the river of destiny. Ha! Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. He realized that his primordial spirit had followed Dumbo's primordial spirit and entered the river of destiny together. He was watching from a third person's perspective, and it was like watching a clear movie. Dumbo's Yuan Shen entered the river of destiny and immediately turned into a giant planet. It rotated slowly and emitted the aura of eternity, chaos, chaos, and chaos. In fact, when she appeared in the river of fate, A huge ark suddenly appeared, carrying the planet and rapidly advancing toward the shore of fate. The surrounding river seemed to be cheering. Fuck, this doesn't make sense. Xiaoping's mouth twitched, and he was speechless. He remembered that when he had entered the river of fate, he had been empty-handed. He had been immersed in the river, and it had been extremely difficult for him to advance. The water around him seemed to be trying to stop him from moving forward. But what was going on now? When Dumbo's primordial spirit entered the river of fate, there was actually an ark escorting it. Moreover, the surrounding water flow was flowing smoothly, not against the current. It did not require much effort to move forward. It was as if they were guaranteed a place at birth. They didn't need to take any exams, and could directly enter Tsinghua University. It was too unfair. Xiaoping admitted that he was a little jealous. This did not make sense at all. System, what is this? Xiaoping asked the system. The system replied, "This is the Ark of Fate, a unique talent that only creatures favored by the universe can have. It is condensed by the laws of the universe, and can protect special creatures to easily cross the sea of bitterness." Can I also have such an Ark of Fate? Xiaoping blinked his eyes. If he could condense such an Ark of Fate in the sea of bitterness, then he did not know how much effort he could save. There is no way. The system said. If Gaia is a creature favored by the universe, then the host is a creature that suffers the wrath of heaven. You belong to that kind of pest, the kind that is often struck by lightning. Therefore, crossing the sea of bitterness is thousands of times more difficult than ordinary cultivators. It expressed that Xiaoping wanted to take a shortcut. This was a fool's dream. It would be lucky if he was not struck by lightning. Xiaoping looked depressed. Why was he a pest of the universe? It was not reasonable at all. Heaven was really unfair. However, thinking about it carefully, he was really struck by lightning from the beginning until now. However, no matter how he felt, the ark still moved forward quickly, like a jet yacht. There was even air around it, and the speed was incredible. This was no longer crossing the sea of bitterness, but traveling on a luxury yacht. Splash! In just 2 hours, the ark carried Dumbo across this endless river. Along the way, Xiaoping also benefited a lot. He had been watching as if he had experienced the journey, from the early stage of the Thunder Retribution realm to the peak of the Thunder Retribution realm. He had seen the scenery of the entire river of fate, and knew every turbulence in this long river. This was of great benefit to him crossing the sea of bitterness. He knew this place like the back of his hand. If he continued to cross the sea of bitterness now, then he could save several times more effort than before. This was like going through the college entrance examination in advance, knowing the content of the college entrance examination, and then being able to take it again. This was simply equivalent to cheating. If other cultivators knew of Xiaoping's experience, they would definitely be green with envy. Crossing the sea of bitterness is really difficult. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. At first, the sea of bitterness was calm, without any waves. However, after moving forward for a certain distance, countless whirlpools appeared, and there were spirals everywhere. If a person fell into it, they would definitely be sucked in by the whirlpools, unable to move an inch, and sink forever. If he came to the second half of the sea of bitterness, it would be even more terrifying. Not only would there be torrential whirlpools, but there would also be storms, thunderbolts, raging waves, and so on. If Dumbo did not have the Ark of Fate to escort him, and all the forces retreated, automatically opening up a safe path, Xiaoping doubted that he could pass the second half of the Sea of Bitterness. It was no wonder that there were so few people who advanced to the Saint Realm. Just crossing the Sea of Bitterness was an extremely difficult thing. Not to mention, after crossing the Sea of Bitterness, it would cause the backlash of the origin of the universe, triggering the Thunder Retribution. We're here. Chapter 2025. What is this? Xiaoping could feel the greatness of this door. It was emitting the aura of immortality, eternity, chaos, and so on. It was engraved with dense and esoteric inscriptions, which seemed to contain endless information. Just by looking at it, he felt that there was so much information that his head was about to explode. He was so scared that he didn't dare to look at it anymore. He quickly lowered his head. System, what is this? Xiaoping asked. This is the Gate of Destiny, a gateway to the origin of the universe. It is also the end of the River of Destiny. Through this gate, you can jump out of the sea of bitterness and communicate with the origin of the universe. The system replied. Whoosh! Without waiting for Xiaoping to say anything, the Ark of Fate, carrying Dumbo, suddenly smashed open the door. Boom! Before Xiaoping could clearly see what was outside the door, a powerful force instantly forced his primordial spirit back into his body. The Gate of Destiny? Xiaoping stood up and saw the sky above Dumbo shaking violently. The void cracked. It seemed that the infinite spirit in Gaia's body communicated with the origin of the universe. Suddenly, a huge bronze gate appeared clearly. The patterns, inscriptions, and lines on the door frame all appeared. The ancient aura of chaos filled the entire space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. Whoosh! The Gate of Destiny opened slowly. The inside was hazy and chaotic. Nothing could be seen clearly. Then, the universal laws, the origin of the universe, and the universal runes fell like a landslide and a tsunami. In the depths of the void, there were many stars, as if countless stars were falling. Xiaoping was shocked. He felt the powerful energy falling from the Gate of Destiny. His body flashed, and immediately moved thousands of kilometers away from Dumbo. He didn't want to encounter any accidents and affect Dumbo's advancement. With his eyes, he could see the endless universal origin energy and the information of the universal laws, which seemed to turn into a galaxy, falling on Dumbo's head. Whoosh! In the next second, the huge galaxy was directly infused into Dumbo's body, into her limbs, bones, and even the depths of her spirit. Her magic power, primordial spirit, and strength were all increasing at a crazy rate. A superior, almost immortal aura diffused from her body. It seemed that she had transcended everything. He really succeeded. He actually managed to summon the Gate of Fate. He's going to communicate with the origin of the universe, condense a true spirit, and become undying. The Azure Ox had also noticed this phenomenon. It had experienced its old master's breakthrough before. So it knew that this was a cosmic phenomenon that would only appear after a successful breakthrough to the sempiternal realm. Heavens, there are simply too many of these universe origins and universe laws. Corinne, who also saw this scene, was completely shocked. When the myriad star sages advanced to the sage realm, compared to this kind of cosmic phenomenon, the difference was 100 times, or even 1,000 times. My God, is this the strongest race in the universe, Gaia? She has just advanced to the sage realm, but her accumulation has already reached such a level. She's already so terrifying now. How much more terrifying will she become in the future? It was dumbfounded and shocked, not knowing what to say. The instant a lightning tribulation eminence advanced to the sage realm, they would communicate with the universe's origin and open the Gate of Destiny. And the more profound the accumulation, the more universe origin it could communicate with. Then, the Gate of Destiny would release even more universe origin, as well as all sorts of information about the laws of the universe. This way, those who had just advanced to the sage realm would have even more profound accumulation, and their future cultivation would be smooth, more than 100 times faster than other sages. This was because such an opportunity only came once in a lifetime. When communicating with the universe's origin and opening the Gate of Destiny, a large amount of information about the laws would descend. This was the best opportunity for sages to comprehend the laws. It was like the answer to a test paper appearing in front of them. But if they missed this opportunity, the answer to the test paper would disappear, and it would be very difficult to comprehend it again. The cultivators who had accumulated more experience would obtain more answers in the test papers. Thus, some sages did not improve even after billions of years, but some sages improved at lightning speed, breaking through again and again. She is indeed too powerful. Even the Mountain River Sage is not 1/100th of her. This is the potential of the Gaia race. This is a living being that is favored by the heavens and earth. The Azure Ox did not know what to say. This was also the first time he had seen such an astonishing breakthrough scene. At this moment, There was still a vast amount of universe origin energy pouring down from the depths of the Gate of Destiny like an ocean, as if it would never stop. From afar, it looked like a silver river connecting the void. Rumble, one after another, universe origin energy condensed from the universe's origin poured in, and the surrounding area of billions of kilometers seemed to have become an ocean of universe origin energy, filled with energy everywhere. The mountain river Pearl also seemed to be nourished by the universe origin energy, and it was constantly growing. The space was opening up bit by bit, and it even obtained many laws of the universe, making the surrounding space more stable. It could be said that the leaked universe origin energy and laws were too shocking. Good stuff. At this moment Tan Menglu, who was playing games, also sensed this pure energy. As a Taotai, she abandoned the game and ran nearby, greedily devouring the universe origin energy. She sensed that this was very beneficial to her growth. Good treasure. Cheng Xiaoqian also came over. Although she was young, she also knew that this was good stuff. It could help her grow faster, allowing her to become the true black hole worm king. She used the black hole worm's devouring power to devour large amounts of universe origin energy. It looks delicious. Luna's figure flashed, and she also flew to her side. She also sensed that this energy was very beneficial to her growth, so she did not make a sound, and just devoured the universe origin energy at the side. Xiaoping was the same. The universe origin that was overflowing from the surroundings rushed into his body like it was free, and it was many times better than consuming some 10,000-year-old spiritual medicine. He felt that his body's spiritual power was increasing exponentially, and his 9 purple mansion spaces were devouring the energy crazily. Originally, his 9 purple mansion spaces needed to devour countless spiritual medicines to grow a little, but now that he had obtained the universe origin energy, his purple mansion spaces were easily filled up. This was simply a great fortuitous encounter. After all, it was very rare for ordinary people to see a sage advance. However, even if Xiaoping and the others devoured the universe origin energy, it was just a drop in the ocean in front of this huge universe origin energy. 99% of the energy was injected into Dumbo Gaia's body. Chapter 2026. The advancement lasted for 7 days and 7 nights, before the Gate of Destiny's enormous energy stopped pouring down. The enormous source of the universe, and the information of the laws were completely devoured by Dumbo. The Gate of Destiny completely collapsed, turning into a ball of energy, and disappearing without a trace. Xiaoping had also devoured a portion of the universe's source energy, raising his magic power cultivation to the peak of the early stage of the lightning tribulation realm. His 9 purple mansion spaces were filled with dense magic power, almost overflowing. Just the energy devoured this time was enough to save him thousands of years of condensing magic power. At the same time, his primordial spirit was twice as powerful as before. His divine sense had become more powerful. His primordial spirit in the Sea of Bitterness was even more powerful, seemingly becoming more solid. In this way, his power to cross the Sea of Bitterness was even stronger. Even the endless seawater in the Sea of Bitterness was pulling his primordial spirit, wanting to pull him into the depths of the Sea of Bitterness. But in the face of the skyrocketing primordial spirit power, this resistance was nothing. And because of his previous experience, he easily crossed the first part of the Sea of Bitterness. He was just 1 step away from advancing to the middle stage of the lightning tribulation realm. Crossing the Sea of Bitterness seems to be a form of training. Xiaoping now understood a little. It seemed that crossing the Sea of Bitterness was an extremely difficult thing, but in fact, it was a chance to train his primordial spirit again and again. Every time he advanced a certain distance, his primordial spirit would become stronger. At the same time, because of the training in the Sea of Bitterness, it became more solid. When the primordial spirit was strong to a certain extent, it would transform into a real spirit, fusing into the limbs and bones, fusing into every cell of the body, truly forming an immortal body. Perhaps this was the true meaning of crossing the Sea of Bitterness. It was both a trial and an opportunity. The lightning tribulation is about to descend. Xiaoping squinted his eyes. At this time, he felt that he seemed to have alarmed the source of the universe, causing a backlash. Deep in the void, a huge power of the tribulation was constantly gathering, as if it would descend at any time. But because the power of the tribulation had not reached its limit, it was like a whirlpool in the depths of the void, constantly spinning and brewing. Once it reached its limit, the lightning tribulation would descend. He finally understood what it meant to have a thorn on his back. There seemed to be an eye of heavenly punishment staring at him from the depths of the void. No matter where he hid, he couldn't hide. No wonder Thunder Tribulation Realm powerhouses rarely roam the universe. Most of them are in closed-door cultivation or going out to train. If the power of Thunder Tribulation is watching them at all times and can descend at any time, the pressure will be extraordinary. Xiaoping also slightly understood the feelings of Thunder Tribulation eminences. They were so careful because they could be struck to death by the Thunder Tribulation at any time. Their lives were in danger. How could they be arrogant in such a situation? Of course, it wasn't just Xiaoping's magic power and primordial spirit that had improved tremendously this time around. At the same time, the golden crow of hell bloodline within him had transformed and awakened bit by bit. By now, he had awakened 500 million golden crow hell cells in his body. He could feel that the flames in his body had become even more intense, as if his body was about to transform into an elemental body. Every vein in his body was flowing like a flaming river. If a drop of his blood was placed on a planet, it would probably form a supervolcano that wouldn't be extinguished for 10,000 years. His strength and defense had improved further. Many golden crow of hell runes appeared in the depths of his blood, and his body emitted a sacred and ancient aura. It could be said that he had become a lot stronger after devouring a large amount of the universe's source energy. Tanmenglu, Chong Xiaoqian, and Luna seemed to have benefited a lot. Xiaoping looked at the three little girls in the distance. This time, they had also devoured a lot of the universe's source energy. Although they hadn't devoured as much as he had, it was still an extremely shocking amount. Their bloodlines were already extremely shocking, and they had endless potential. They just lacked energy. Now that they had devoured so much universe's source energy, their cultivation suddenly improved by leaps and bounds. It probably saved them at least a few thousand years of cultivation. This could be counted as an unprecedented fortuitous encounter. Of course, the one who had benefited the most was Gaia and Dumbo. Xiaoping looked over and saw that Dumbo had already woken up. She opened her eyes, and the depths of her pupils seemed to contain clusters of nebulae. They were unfathomable, as if they were all-encompassing. At the same time, her body also emitted waves of immortal aura, as if she had transcended this world and was independent of this space. No one knew how powerful Dumbo was now. Immortal Gaia. Corinne and Green Ox both looked at Dumbo with a little reverence. They could sense that Dumbo's current life level was completely different from before. She had transcended. Brother. Dumbo took a step forward, as if she had transcended space and traveled through the void. She directly reached Xiaoping's side, as if this ability had fused into the depths of her bloodline and was an instinct. How do you feel? Xiaoping asked curiously. Feel? I don't seem to feel anything. Dumbo looked confused. She felt that there was not much difference compared to before. For her, increasing her strength was just a matter of time. It was not a big deal. Don't feel anything? The corner of Xiaoping's mouth twitched. She had already advanced to the Sage Realm. This was the realm that countless creatures in the universe dreamed of. How could she not feel anything? She was too confused. Brother, come and take a look. Dumbo stretched out her finger and lightly touched Xiaoping's forehead. A mysterious energy was instilled in. Boom. Suddenly, countless information about Dumbo was instilled into the depths of Xiaoping's sea of consciousness. Xiaoping felt that his spirit was suddenly pulled into Dumbo's soul space, as if both of them had fused into one. Xiaoping first discovered that the space in Dumbo's body had undergone earth-shaking changes. It was originally just a planet and a few continents, but now it had evolved into the appearance of a small universe. Planets and continents appeared in this universe space one after another. In addition to the previous planet and the cloud continent, it seemed that there were thousands of large continents and densely packed planets in the space in his body. These planets and continents had just been born, like a newborn world. They were lush with a large number of plants, but there were no intelligent creatures. They were like primitive planets and continents, waiting to be developed by humans. Moreover, these planets and continents contained a huge amount of mineral resources. The volume of the space in his body was also 10,000 times larger than before. It was equivalent to the area of a star field. Moreover, this Gaia space seemed to be constantly expanding as Dumbo's strength evolved. Chapter 2027. As Xiaoping continued to explore, he found that the space within Dumbo's body was not as simple as just expanding. The laws of heaven and earth in this space seemed to be more complete than before. If it was the previous Gaia space, a full blow from a Thunder Retribution Realm powerhouse might be able to break this space barrier. However, it was completely different now. It seemed that the space laws had been completely perfected. This was due to the infusion of many universal laws, allowing Gaia space to be perfectly improved. It was estimated that even if a sage entered Gaia space now, it would be difficult to break it so easily. Moreover, the chi of heaven and earth inside Gaia space was more than 1,000 times richer than before. Energy from the origin of the universe was everywhere, which was of great benefit to the cultivation of living beings. The reason for this situation seemed to be that Gaia could communicate with the origin of the universe at any time and absorb the origin energy from the depths of the universe, allowing her to evolve at all times. Amazing! Is this the so-called immortal level? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He sensed that Dumbo's spirit had also changed, transforming into a true spirit. It had completely integrated into every cell in the body, gathering and dispersing at will. It could be said that every grain of sand, every weed, every drop of water, and even every particle of dust in the air contained a trace of Gaia's soul energy. Even if Gaia's body was smashed into pieces, as long as there was a particle of dust, the true spirit could teleport over. She could then absorb the origin energy of the universe through the true spirit and quickly recover. This was simply an immortal body. At this level, the body was nothing. What was important was one's soul. As long as the soul was not destroyed and the true spirit did not die, she would be an immortal existence. Although he knew that sages had an immortal body, and as long as they were not completely annihilated, they could be continuously resurrected even if the true spirit was destroyed. However, he now knew how terrifying sages were. Physical attacks alone would not be able to kill an immortal rank saint. However, thinking of this, Xiaoping suddenly remembered that he had been besieged by sages before. At that time, his master, Dark North Sage, had personally taken action and killed several sages with a single move. He did not know what realm his master had reached to be able to kill even an immortal sage. Even the current Gaia was far inferior to such power. Dong! At this moment, Xiaoping's spirit shook and immediately separated from Dumbo's body. It seemed to be expelled by a force. His consciousness also returned to his body. "Brother, I'm sleepy." Dumbo yawned and rubbed his eyes with his little hands, revealing a sleepy face. "If you're sleepy, then let's sleep." Xiaoping patted little Dumbo's little head. He knew that little Dumbo had just advanced to the sempiternal realm and had yet to fully evolve. He still needed to go into seclusion to consolidate his strength. The reason she was feeling sleepy now was because her body was instinctively reminding her. Hearing this, Dumbo flashed and returned to his residence. He lay on the bed and slept soundly. Layers upon layers of spatial barriers appeared around her body. They were densely packed with tortoiseshell patterns, like the barriers of the world, protecting her body. Such a world barrier could isolate all powers and display absolute defense. It was impossible for anyone to kill her while she was in her slumber. "Corinne, do you know what realm of Sage Dummy is at now?" Xiaoping asked Corinne. He felt that since he had advanced to the Thunder Tribulation realm, he was also qualified to know some information about sages. Sooner or later, he would also become a sage, so knowing this information in advance would also have a certain degree of benefits. I don't know all kinds of information about sages. This is top secret, Corinne said in a deep voice. But Xia Ping, you are a disciple of the Holy Land of Taichu, and now you have also advanced to the Thunder Tribulation realm. You should have the authority to inquire about the information about the Sage realm. He said that the level of his previous master's contact was too low. He had always been a rogue cultivator without any master to teach him, so he didn't know too much about the mysteries of sages. The Green Ox also didn't seem to know very much about the cultivation between sages. Because of the war in the Archean era, the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers was seriously damaged, which also led to the loss of some of its memories. Then I'll check it. Xia Ping nodded, and immediately took out his communicator, with the absolute beginning chip installed. He directly entered the internal virtual network of the Holy Land of Taichu, and opened the page of information about sages. Can I really check it? He was immediately overjoyed. He had inquired about it before, but was told that he didn't have the authority. Now that he had advanced to the Thunder Tribulation realm, it seemed that the authority seemed to be unlocked, allowing him to inquire about similar information. Clap. Xia Ping clicked on a lot of information about sages, and immediately a series of information about sages appeared. I see. After a long time, Xia Ping nodded and suddenly understood. There are so many realms of sages. Corinne also saw this scene, and suddenly felt that it was an eye-opener. The first realm is the new sage, that is, the immortal sage who has condensed the true spirit and the immortal body. The next realms are near ancient sage, middle ancient sage, immemorial sage, and the last invincible sage. There are 6 realms in total. The immortal sage, near ancient sage, middle ancient sage, immemorial sage, and invincible sage. Each realm is stronger than the previous one, and the gap is indescribable. It is almost impossible to challenge someone of a higher realm. The Green Ox also widened its eyes. It seems that the old master is just the lowest sage, the immortal sage. Corinne sighed. No wonder the enemy who chased after the star sage was so terrifying, and looked down on the star sage. The other party was at least in the realm above the near ancient sage. How is this realm divided? Is it divided according to age? The Green Ox looked at it curiously, but he still couldn't see the strength division of each realm of sages. He wanted to inquire about the detailed information, but Xia Ping didn't seem to have enough authority. The above suggested that one had to be at least in the immortal realm to be qualified to inquire about it. After all, if one didn't become a sage, knowing it wouldn't be of much use. It's impossible to divide according to age. Sages don't become stronger the longer they live. They duel according to the power of laws they have mastered. Corinne shook his head. The enemy who killed the star sage was younger than the star sage. He seemed to be the heir of an ancient family. If age could crush everything, the star sage wouldn't have died. It seems that Dumbo should be in the immortal sage realm. Xia Ping understood everything clearly. Chapter 2028. Haha. At this moment, Chong Xiaoqian seemed to have awakened from her seclusion. Her aura skyrocketed, and she had advanced to the law phase realm. Compared to before, her improvement was simply godly. With her body as the center, waves of spatial fluctuations appeared. Many spatial ripples appeared within a radius of 10 million kilometers, filled with the aura of the space dominator. It was as if she could travel through space and condense spatial power to kill her enemies with a casual move. Her strength had skyrocketed countless times. One could imagine how much she had gained this time. Of course, the most important thing was that she had excellent aptitude. She was the black hole worm king, that only appeared once in a trillion years. Her cultivation had been smooth without any bottlenecks. In the distance, the black hole worm elders also sensed the aura from Chong Xiaoqian. Their bodies trembled violently, and their eyes revealed joyful expressions. It's the king, it's the aura of the king. It seems like the king's power has skyrocketed, increased countless times. He's at least at the law phase realm. No way. The king was just born not long ago, but he's already reached this level of cultivation. His improvement is too fast. Although the king's aptitude is amazing, it's probably because of Master's nurturing that he can improve so quickly. Looks like relying on Master was the right decision. Without Master, the king couldn't have improved so quickly. It's really incredible. I seem to sense an immortal aura just now. Could it be that Master has advanced to the Sage Realm? It's not that Master has advanced to the Sage Realm, but one of his subordinates, Gaia. As expected of Master, he can even subdue Gaia. Looks like our black hole worm race will once again make a name for ourselves in the universe. We won't hide like stray dogs anymore. The black hole worm elders discussed excitedly. Thinking of their king's increased strength and their master's potential, they became even more loyal to Xiaoping. Regent. Where is the regent? Chong Xiaoqian placed her hands on her hips and chortled with glee. She had gained so much power, so her ego was naturally inflated. She shouted, "Shameless regent, this king will let you know my power today. This king is the true supreme king. Obediently return the authority, or I'll banish you to the cold palace." She felt that she was invincible now. Subduing that hateful regent was a piece of cake. At that time, she would let this hateful regent pour tea and water and clean up every day. Let's see if this bastard still dared to force her to do her homework and threaten to cut off her internet. Just thinking about it made her feel incomparably happy. What? Do you want me to know how powerful it is? Hearing this, Xiaoping's figure flickered and appeared in front of Chong Xiaoqian, looking down at her from above. Stupid, stupid Prince Regent, I won't be afraid of you. You don't know how powerful I am now. When Chong Xiaoqian saw Xiaoping, she immediately felt guilty. She suddenly recalled the fear of being dominated by the regent. It was easy to imagine how much psychological trauma the regent had left in her heart. However, when she thought about her swelling strength and the powerful spatial fluctuations brewing in her body, she felt that she should not be afraid of this hateful regent anymore. What are you talking about? Looks like you're lacking in homework. When you go back tonight, copy the textbook 10 times. You're not allowed to go online if you miss even one. Xiaoping gave him a sidelong glance. What? You're abusing a child. This is tyranny. Chong Xiaoqian was going crazy. It was impossible for her to copy the textbook 10 times, not even a single time. Oh, is that so? Soul-binding chains. Xiaoping gently pointed, and countless hell runes immediately surged out from the depths of the void, quickly condensing into a black chain, instantly binding Chong Xiaoqian's body, making it impossible for her to react. Ah, scoundrel, treacherous official, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to usurp the throne? Chong Xiaoqian suddenly discovered that after her body was bound by the chain, she was unable to break free with her own strength. The more she struggled, the tighter the chain became. Moreover, the spatial energy on her body was completely useless. This was a hell chain that targeted the primordial spirit. She was directly hung in midair by Xiaoping, her legs constantly kicking and struggling. Her face was filled with rage and grief. Green Ox, capture her and supervise her copying homework. She plays games all day and doesn't even know how to study. How is she going to make a name for herself in the future and earn money for me? Xiaoping said to the Green Ox. Yes, master, leave it to me. The Green Ox stroked his beard and smiled amiably. Demon. This Prince Regent is indeed a demon. Chong Xiaoqian's face was filled with grief and indignation. She was only a child, but this bastard already wanted to squeeze out her remaining value and work for him all day. If he wasn't a demon, what was he? Now that even the Green Ox had become this demon's accomplice, she was now completely deserted and alone. All right, Xiaoqian, don't be angry. You're stronger than others now. Haven't you learned what it means to endure humiliation and endure hardships? As a ruler, you should have the magnanimity to endure what others can't. This is something you should learn. The Green Ox said in a low voice and mysteriously, the magnanimity of a ruler? Hearing this, Chong Xiaoqian suddenly came to a realization, and her spirits were immediately lifted. It seemed like the Green Ox was indeed a very loyal official. Among all the civil and military officials in the imperial court, there was only one good person like him. Indeed, what she should do now was to endure humiliation and endure hardships. She shouldn't clash head-on with this demon, or else she would be the one to suffer. Tonight, copy your homework properly and let your master's guard down. When you become stronger in the future, it won't be too late for you to take revenge. It's never too late for a ruler to take revenge. The green ox smiled slightly. Don't worry, I understand. This is what it means to appear weak to the enemy. Chong Xiaoqian nodded, clenched her fists and her eyes lit up. But after I finish my homework, can I go online? I've already agreed to play with a group of people yesterday. We're going to dungeon and fight a boss. She still couldn't forget about the internet and wanted to go online to fight dungeons. Of course, no problem. The green ox chuckled and took Chong Xiaoqian away. Seeing the internet addict Chong Xiaoqian being taken away, Xiaoping also looked at Tan Menglu and Luna. The two of them seemed to have also devoured a large amount of cosmic origin energy and were currently in a coma. Masses of energy were entwined around their bodies, forming a huge energy silkworm, and they were probably refining and absorbing it. With a wave of his hand, he immediately grabbed the two of them and placed them in the resting room so that they could cultivate and evolve in peace. Chapter 2029. In a quiet room within the Mountain River Pearl space, Xiaoping was refining the 3 low-grade saint artifacts, the Star Punishment Sword, the Mystic Moon Demon Sealing Tablet, and the Crimson Sun Demon Sealing Tablet. There were also 2 mid-grade saint artifacts, the Een Wind 8 Trigrams Banner, and the 9 Dragons Bronze Mirror. He had used the Golden Crow of Hell's Flames to forcibly burn off the mental connection between them and their previous owners, and forcibly engraved his spiritual imprint on them. However, he hadn't reached the realm of becoming one with the artifacts yet. He hadn't completely grasped the power of these artifacts yet. It just so happened that he had the time to refine all of these sacred artifacts. That way, no one would be able to snatch these sacred artifacts away from him. As soon as he refined the Star Punishment Sword, the Mystic Moon Demon Sealing Tablet, and the Crimson Sun Demon Sealing Tablet, Xiaoping immediately sensed the immense power of the sun, moon, and stars gushing out from the depths of these 3 low-grade saint artifacts. Whoosh! Suddenly, the entire sky darkened. It was as if a sky full of stars had appeared. Beams of starlight fell down one after another, pouring into his body like a river. They actually have the effect of refining the body. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He discovered that the enormous power gushing in from these 3 artifacts had seeped into every corner of his body and was strengthening his internal organs. One star after another surged into his acupoints, releasing wisps of blue starlight that were refining every bone in his body. Vaguely, densely packed star runes appeared in the depths of his bones. The power of the moon seeped into his internal organs and nourished every inch of his muscles. Everywhere was filled with the power of the moon, and his entire body seemed to be surrounded by silver-white light. The power of the red sun seemed to have fused into his heart and turned into flames in his blood. It flowed along his blood vessels and seeped into every meridian, emitting wisps of flames that burned every drop of impurities in his body. Xiaoping's body was already strong enough. He had the constitution of the Golden Crow of Hell and the body of a divine beast. However, under the refinement of these 3 low-grade saint artifacts, he could actually get rid of the impurities in his body and be reborn. I see. Xiaoping understood a little. These 3 saint artifacts not only had the effect of trapping and killing enemies, but they were also treasures that could assist in cultivation. They were greatly beneficial to the Starlight race, the Glorious Sun race, and the Radiant Moon race. It seemed to have been refined by the saints of the 3 great races, and contained the cultivation secrets of the 3 great races. It could absorb the power of the sun, moon, and stars in the depths of the void to cultivate. As he continued to refine it, the effects of his cultivation became even more astonishing. The energy of the sun, moon, and stars flowed continuously in his body, forming a triangular formation that grew and multiplied endlessly. His comprehension of the 3 low-quality saint artifacts deepened as well. He seemed to be able to communicate with the artifact spirits of the 3 saint artifacts. Previously, he had only used the infernal golden crow flames to intimidate them, and they were still a little unwilling. But now, they had the thought of submitting, and were willing to acknowledge him as their master. After refining for several days, Xiaoping finally succeeded in refining the 3 low-rank saint artifacts. He then set his eyes on the 2 mid-rank saint artifacts, the 9-dragon treasure mirror, and the Wind 8 trigrams plate. This Wind 8 trigrams banner was a sacred weapon of the demon clan. It contained a powerful demon clan aura, but it was not suitable for cultivation. It was only suitable for killing enemies. Therefore, he did not intend to use the Wind 8 trigrams banner to train his body. However, this 9-dragon treasured mirror was completely different. It was a powerful sage weapon that was created by a human sage after he killed 9 true dragons and smelted many universe-grade materials. This mirror contained a powerful true dragon power, which would definitely be of great benefit to his cultivation. Boom! Thinking of this, Xiaoping did not hesitate. He immediately poured the power of his soul into it, completely fusing with the 9-dragon treasure mirror and communicating with the internal artifact spirits of the mirror. Roar! However, the mirror had 9 artifact spirits, which were the 9 dragons. They were scattered throughout the mirror, as if there were 9 worlds within the mirror, and each dragon lived in one of the worlds. Human, give up. We will not submit. Don't think that we'll be at your beck and call, just because you've heavily injured us with some small tricks. That's right. We dragons are a peak race. We don't lose to humans. You're dreaming if you think you can order us around. Even though Xiaoping had used the Hell Golden Crow flames to subdue them, they refused to submit willingly. They remained defiant as they let out furious roars, unwilling to submit to the human. Back then, Su Chong had spent a great deal of effort and time to curry favor with the 9 dragons, in order to tame the medial-grade sacred weapon. Only then did he barely gain their acknowledgement. Now it was impossible for Xiaoping to tame them instantly. Is that so? Upon thinking of this, Xiaoping's mind stirred. Immediately, a primordial sky dragon aura surged out from his body. It came from the 46 primordial sky dragon talismans. He immediately injected it into the depths of the mirror. Immediately, the 9 dragons in the depths of the mirror were shocked. This was because the primordial sky dragon enjoyed a lofty status among the dragons. They were considered existences at the level of a sacred dragon. Such an aura immediately subdued the 9 dragons. They could not help but prostrate to express their submission. The bloodline deep within them was completely unable to resist the primordial sky dragon aura. Impossible. This is the aura of a primordial sky dragon. How can a human like you possess such an aura? You actually have a dragon aura that's even purer than ours. Are you really a human? You must be joking. What's going on? The 9 dragons were dumbfounded. They could not figure out how a human could possess the aura of a primordial sky dragon. Refine. Xiaoping had no intention of explaining. With a thought, a powerful force of essence soul instantly permeated the depths of the medial-grade sacred weapon. Taking advantage of their moment of shock, he instantly shattered their psyche defenses and permeated his psyche imprint to completely refine it. Immediately, the 9 dragons instinctively sensed that they were extremely close to Xiaoping. Their souls were fused, as though they were kin who had gone through life and death together. Their bloodlines were fused, and they no longer had any thoughts of resisting. Rumble! Waves of true dragon aura emanated from the 9 dragons. Like rivers, they surged into Xiaoping's limbs and bones, transforming into his veins. His veins protruded as though they were entrenched by true dragons. Countless true dragon talismans fused into his bloodline, as a dragon's might permeated the surroundings, distorting the void. Pa pa pa. With the infusion of these energies, Xiaoping's infernal golden crow bloodline began to awaken rapidly. 1 million cells, 5 million cells, 10 million cells. In the end, he had awakened a total of 50 million infernal golden crow cells. Waves of terrifying infernal golden crow flames surged out of his body, burning everything within 500 kilometers into a sea of fire. The flames condensed into lava, and the lava became volcanoes. Chapter 2030. Xiaoping opened his eyes and looked at his surroundings. He felt lucky. Fortunately, he usually chose seclusion places in the mountain river pearl space that were sparsely populated. Otherwise, just this power alone would be enough to destroy all the buildings around him. He could sense that the volcanoes around him were erupting dark golden flames that contained terrifying deviant flame power. Ordinary creatures would be burned to ashes if they approached. The temperature in the depths of the volcanoes was close to the temperature of a star. Ordinary substances would be vaporized. Moreover, it wouldn't be a problem for these volcanoes to exist for millions of years. This feeling. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He sensed that after awakening 50 million golden crow hell cells, the blood in the depths of his body had undergone an incredible change. He actually sensed a trace of immortality. Under his divine sense, the necrotic cells in the depths of his body had an aura of continuous rebirth. It vaguely possessed the magical ability of the golden crow hell to be reborn in the flames. Could it be that when 1 billion golden crow hell cells awaken in my body, I will have an immortal body? Xiaoping felt that when his golden crow hell cells reached a certain number, he would probably have an immortal body, even if he didn't advance to the sage realm. Perhaps this was the golden crow hell's innate magical ability. Even though he only had 550 million golden crow hell cells, his body already contained a trace of immortality. It was as if he was transforming into a mythical creature's physique. If I can have an immortal body, I might be able to fight against an immortal sage as a lightning tribulation realm. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and was tempted. To be honest, the reason why an immortal sage was countless times stronger than a lightning tribulation realm expert was not only because of their dense magic power, but also because they had an immortal body. It was precisely because sages couldn't be killed no matter what. Even Star Destroyer cannons couldn't destroy them. They could be reborn, even if they had a single cell left. That was why they were so terrifying. No matter how many lightning tribulation realm experts there were, they couldn't kill a sage. However, a sage could easily slaughter a group of lightning tribulation realm experts. But if he also had an immortal body, then it might not be impossible for him to fight against an immortal sage. Walala, as Xiaoping's magic power and power continued to rise, his divine sense power also increased bit by bit. His spirit seemed to have entered the sea of bitterness again. He could sense that his body in the sea of bitterness seemed to be a little stronger. The first half of the sea of bitterness could no longer stop him, and the surrounding seawater could not stop him from moving forward. The aura of the lightning tribulation in the depths of the void seemed to have become even more intense. This action had triggered a backlash from the universe's origin, as if the lightning tribulation would descend at any moment. However, this tribulation aura hadn't reached its peak yet. It was still gathering, so it didn't descend. Once the aura of the tribulation filled up the whirlpool, it would be time for the lightning tribulation to descend. He carefully estimated that there were about 3 months left. What is this? Suddenly Xiaoping's soul shuddered. He felt the river of destiny tremble. The water surged as a mysterious message entered the depths of his soul. At once, mysterious images appeared in his sea of consciousness. A girl was constantly running for her life. Her face was filled with terror and despair, but there was a hint of determination in the depths of her beautiful eyes. There seemed to be a terrifying figure chasing after her. That terrifying figure emitted a dark, cursed, and evil aura. It was like a demon from the abyss, surrounded by countless vengeful spirits. Clearly, its hands were stained with the blood of countless lives. This figure's aura shocked Xiaoping, because the other party was an immortal saint. Even so, every time she was in a desperate situation, she could always escape at the crucial moment when she was being chased by a saint. However, after running for a long time, she was a little exhausted. It was unknown how long she could last. In an instant, the immortal saint seemed to sense something, and a pair of emotionless eyes looked over. Dong! In the next second, Xiaoping's spirit shuddered, and the images shattered like glass. In an instant, his spirit broke away from these images. A cold glint flashed in his eyes, because he knew this girl. She was the Soul Race's saintess Lu Rulan. He had met her once in the Blood Soul mainland. They had even carried out soul dual cultivation, and cultivated the telepathic heart technique. Their relationship was not shallow. System, what's going on with these images in my mind? Xiaoping asked. This is a lightning tribulation realm cultivator's sudden inspiration. The system replied. Cultivators who have reached this realm will enter the river of fate. They will be able to see a trace of their own fate. At this time, they will be able to sense some dangers in the future. This is the realm of the cicada's foresight before the autumn wind blows. Some Thunder Retribution realm experts can rely on this power to deduce fate to avoid countless threats. Some living beings with extremely powerful souls can rely on some special abilities and methods to see some fragments of the future through the river of destiny to seek fortune and avoid calamity. You can see the future? Xiaoping was shocked. There was actually such a method. Of course, this might not be the real future. It's just a deduction of destiny power, and some fragments that might happen. After all, the future has countless possibilities and branches. It's not impossible for some accidents to happen, the system said. In other words, these fragments that suddenly appeared in my mind might be something that will happen in the future. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. It might happen in the future, or it might happen in the present. Because the host once cultivated the telepathic heart technique with this woman, there is a deep connection between their souls. In times of danger and despair, the other party might also send you a distress signal. The system indicated that this was the mystery of the soul. Sometimes it could ignore the distance between them and transmit information. Distress signal. Xiaoping nodded. He felt that this was very possible. From these images, he could also sense Lu Rulan's strong distress signal. However, the enemy was a sage, which was no small matter. Host, what do you plan to do? The enemy is a sage. The system asked. Do you even need to ask? Of course, I'm going to meet him. It's a good opportunity to see the power of a sage. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. If it was before, he would not seek death like this. However, Dumbo had advanced to the sage realm, and he was also a lightning tribulation realm powerhouse. He had countless treasures and trump cards. Even if he could not defeat the immortal sage, he would not die. He was prepared for anything. However, Lu Rulan's location is not shown in the images. Seems like I still need to use the wish compass to find her. Chapter 2031. A day later, Xiaoping found Lu Rulan's location through the wish compass. She happened to be in the Central Universe's ordinary zone, not far from where he was in seclusion. Perhaps that was the reason he sensed it. Interesting. This world seems to be hidden by someone on purpose. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and steered the stars closer to the world indicated by the wish compass. Soon, he found out that the world was hidden deep in the void. Layers of restrictive formations were set up around it, making one's scalp tingle. It was as if there were war fortresses set up nearby. Anyone who got a little closer would be turned into a hornet's nest. The world was hidden in the void. If not for the wish compass's indication, he would not have discovered this unique world hidden in the nearby dimension. Without a doubt, this world was not registered, and was deliberately hidden by a saint. In other words, this world seemed to be worth the saint spending so much effort to do such a thing. However, Lu Rulan appeared in this world. Why exactly? Could it be the Blood Soul Saint's lair? Xiaoping suddenly recalled his experience in the Blood Soul mainland. The reason Lu Rulan left back then was because she was teleported away by a restrictive formation in the Blood Soul mainland. That was the Blood Soul Saint's backup plan. Now, it seemed like Lu Rulan was probably teleported to this place. However, it was obvious that the Blood Soul Saint's backup plan was also a little troublesome, causing Lu Rulan to be in such a crisis. Corinne, do you know how we can enter this world without being discovered? Xiaoping asked Corinne. He felt that if he forced his way in, he would definitely be discovered by the saint guarding this world. He had yet to find Lu Rulan, so it was not suitable for him to have a conflict with the saint of this world for now. Most importantly, only by knowing oneself and one's enemy could one emerge victorious. He had to figure out the trump card of this place to have a certain chance of winning. Otherwise, he would not even know how he died. Of course, no problem. You're underestimating the current stars, Corinne said proudly. Don't look at how this world is full of restrictive arrays. But as a middle-grade sage-level spaceship, myriad stars can completely disguise its appearance and aura, turning into a meteorite and falling into this world. This way, it can ensure that the sages of this world won't discover anything. Xiaoping nodded. He also saw that although this world was hidden deep in the void, a large number of meteorites would be attracted and fall into this world from time to time. This was a very normal astronomical phenomenon. If the stars entered this world disguised as a meteorite, the saint who controlled this world would not notice anything fishy. After all, the saint could not monitor this world all the time, and he did not have that much energy. Whoosh! Thinking of this, under Corinne's control, the myriad stars immediately transformed into a gray meteorite and slowly flew toward this mysterious and special world. Whoosh! In the next second, the stars easily entered this world. Ripples appeared in the surrounding void, but the restriction formations did not react at all, as if they thought it was an ordinary meteorite that had fallen in. Just like that, Xiaoping entered this world. Qinghai Realm. This was a world that was 80% composed of ocean. The seawater was cyan and extremely beautiful. There was only one piece of land in the middle of the world. The rest were islands that dotted this world like stars. This continent was also known as the Azure Sea Continent. Countless creatures lived on this continent. At this moment, in the northeast corner of the Azure Sea Continent, there was a boundless primeval forest. It was surrounded by dense trees, and the green trees gave off a wild and ancient aura. A group of people was flying in the air. Their clothes were tattered, and they looked nervous and defeated. Obviously, they were fleeing. The group was led by a man and a woman, and the rest seemed to be their subordinates and servants. Bastards, our soul race has been almost wiped out by those great demons. Why are they still not letting us go? One of the women in red gritted her teeth. Even if we hide in the deep mountains and forests, even if we hide in the depths of the ocean, even if we hide in the countryside, we will still be found and killed by them. At this point, we are just a weak race. Even if we count the number of people in our race, there are only 2 or 3 kittens left. We are not a threat at all. Why are they still chasing us? She was very unwilling. After fleeing for so many days, her mind was exhausted, and she could not hold on any longer. There is no other way. Beside her, a man in purple shook his head. The killing cursed demon saint personally gave the order to wipe out our soul race. How could the great demons under it let us go? Naturally, they risked their lives to kill us, complete the mission, and get the credit. Damn it, it's all that outsider Lu Rulan's fault. The woman in red gritted her teeth, and her face was full of anger. If this fellow did not suddenly come to our Azure Sea continent, we would still be living peacefully with these demons. However, when she came, she activated the Soul Hall's inheritance and attracted the killing cursed demon saint's attention. Our soul race was unlucky. The entire race was captured and died because of her. She hated Lu Rulan to the extreme, and her eyes were filled with hatred. If it was not for the outsider Lu Rulan's appearance, they would not have to live such a life of fleeing. It was a life worse than death. Young mistress, you can't blame young mistress Lu. At this time, a blue-clothed maid said charmingly, before Miss Lu came, our soul race was under the control of these demons. We lived like livestock and were raised. Every day, some of our clansmen would be eaten by them. If it was not for those bad guys wanting to find out the secrets of this Azure Sea continent, they would have slaughtered us all long ago. Now they are just bringing this matter forward. She felt that this matter should not be blamed on others. The enemies should be the demons. Instead of hating the demons who killed their tribesmen, they focused all their hatred on their own people. She could not understand it at all. "Shut up, you bitch." With a slap, the red-robed woman sent the blue-robed maid flying. A red palm print appeared on the maid's face, and a ruthless look appeared in her eyes. "You're actually speaking up for that bitch? If it weren't for her, how could our soul race have fallen to such a state? Without her, I, Fong Xian, would still be the princess of the soul tribe, living a life of luxury. Now I am like a stray dog, worse than a pig or a dog. I know that the demons have been chasing you all this time, to capture you, and find Lu Rilon's whereabouts. Back then, you were that bitch's maid. You were like a sister. Do you think I don't know about this? If that's the case, then why didn't Lady Lu hand me over? Wouldn't that stop the chase?" You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.